All right, well, then I'll hit record. I'll smash record really quick.
Sorry, I was gonna say I was gonna count down, then I just hit the button. I am not completely here as well.
That happens. That's okay. Sometimes you accidentally hit the button. Hi, how are you? How you doing?
Hi,
It's What's
hi.
Up. Well, person in chat already. I love that you love our content. Yay, we're doing content now. Hello,
Well,
welcome to What's Up.
mm,
First of all, I would like to warn you. Today will be a show that will probably be low energy. I would say Lucky would have to carry today's show, but I know that Lucky has also recently injured his shoulder,
yeah.
so I don't know if he's doing any carrying right now.
Not on my shoulders. Maybe I can.
And I'm very sleepy. Because we'll start with, you may be wondering, we're live with What's Up. Where's Let's Talk? You may ask that question to yourself. Or not, actually. I don't think a lot of people had, because I tweeted out at about 6-ish a.m. this morning that, hey, the video wasn't finished exporting, so I had to go to sleep. So it did not get uploaded until noonish today, and then went out to patrons. I will make it public later today for everybody, probably around midnight. But sometime not too far after we finish this show for sure. So if you're wondering, yeah, it's a late episode because it took a long time to develop for some reason, and I have to sleep sometime. But I didn't sleep that good, so
Oh no.
we're doing the thing. Lucky is rooming in a car.
Yeah.
Hey, there's 14 months, damn Carlos. But there's the special little highlight message we talked about on the Let's Talk that's not out yet.
Oh neat.
That's okay, the patrons got it. So yes, if you are a member of our channel, this is a new feature that YouTube added. If you've been a member for at least 2 consecutive months, you get a little special once-a-month highlight message.
Lovely.
So it's a little neat feature. But I think it's good, especially
Oh, no,
considering the patience they're gonna have to put up with me for all the late uploads and stuff. I would like to shout out our patrons to everybody, which include names like Adam DeHarp, Aga Comics, Kazume, 10, Plex G, Carlos, Dragon Ferris, Jerry Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Shriver, Shawnee P, some guy named Bob, and Cyric23. You the best.
You the best. Oh, dials up.
All right.
Okay, fuck yeah, we're gonna join that shit.
Right. Hey, we can say shit now too as well.
Yeah, well
Free-
we've been going
Free
for
real estate. Yeah, we've been going. We can say fuck now. We've been going for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We can have as many fucks as we want, which is none. None fucks. But before we go too far in that hole, I think it's important to note, hey, Lucky, you're driving a car in Final Fantasy XIV right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not driving. Aresh is driving. Aresh, my eternal protector, and Gremlin. You know, like Vesper and Robin are like the Gremlin in card games. In Final Fantasy XIV, it's Aresh. Aresh will just ruin someone's day. Sometimes will ruin my day, but they're cute when they do it, so I forgive them. But yeah, so I was finally able to get my Final Fantasy XIV account back. Ooh, excuse me. And I have been getting that all squared away. So it was actually a little like, okay, I'll get in the fucking car rush. So
Get it, loser. We're going grinding.
pretty much. But so basically last month, I think I explained this a little bit, but I'll explain it again just so I can round out the entire story. So last month I did a fuck up. I accidentally compromised my account, and so I did a bunch of emergency measures. But one of those measures was to tell my bank to reverse that charge that the compromised account does, which basically mean that my bank went to Square Enix and said, hey, give us back that money. And Square Enix was all like, we don't like that. We don't like that. That is, something that could be potentially blue. So we're going to, terminate your account. Fortunately, this was not something that is permanently done. If you think it was done in error and whatnot, we can go talk to customer support. But you just have to go through this process of, you actually have to pay back the money. So whoever got that money, they got away scot-free. They got my $16.99. I shake my fist at them. But I had to basically pay the difference and wait for them to unsuspend my account. I've been waiting for almost 2 weeks because I paid the money like 2 weeks ago, and I had thought they would just do it, but they didn't. So I just actually got on there and got to their customer support and be like, hey, my account's suspended. When is that gonna end? It was like, oh, that was supposed to be unsuspended earlier. Let me just forward this down to the proper team, and it should be done in like half an hour. I was just like, okay. talking to people.
Ah, the joys of make work. Yeah.
Yeah.
When your file's sitting in a tray somewhere, and then you call somebody, and they're like, "Oh yeah, somebody was supposed to dig through that tray like 2 weeks ago. Hold on."
There it is. No, it's fucking, yeah, it's good. It's done. And literally a half hour later, I have my account back. Which is good, because right now they have the limited collab of the Final Fantasy 15, which lets you get, Noctis's hair and the sweet car. That will turn into a fucking car jet. Don't ask me how that works. And the outfit, yes, Suna is right, is the outfit. Suna, right now I am playing with 2 members of our community, Suna and Aresh. They carry through many good minigans and listen to me scream a lot. Lucky's very lucky. Like I will. Yes, and the triple tricard. Yes, thank you, Aresh. Lucky is bad at this game. So anytime I'm in an AOE, I just have an immediate moment of panic and I scream. I think this is one of those qualities Lucky. I'm not Lucky. Mega was talking about, but it's like, yeah, I'm good on camera because I am out there.
You're emotive. Very emotive.
Very emotive. So
yeah, we talked about that with like spooky games. Like my response to being spooked is to silently jump or just cuss.
Mm-hmm.
But you will sometimes go ah, and then also cuss.
And then cuss. And then I'll maybe punch something, or maybe I'll run away. Yep. Yeah, everyone, I hope you look forward to the Alan Wake stream in, like, what, 3 weeks? Maybe 2 weeks? I don't know.
Some number of time.
Sometime this month.
We didn't actually know how Kina is paced out.
Yeah, so, everyone, you'll be watching me probably do the Zadnor mission, the Dalradia, and probably being very, very mad at it.
It happened. Burp. But all right, we have a few things to talk about. I remember some of the stuff I wanted to mention. Most of it's video game related. I may or may not remember some other stuff in there somewhere.
Ditchy.
We'll see. I also talked about we full blown FAF zoned.
Yeah.
So we talked about lots of things in the Let's Talk that's not out yet that we won't circle back on. But it was good. You should listen to it when it comes out. One of the things I did do that I should mention also now was I did build a bookshelf on Thursday. I needed a place to unpack all my books, so I assembled a shelf. It was relatively simple, even though the instructions weren't perfect, because I think they were one size fits all. And if you look at the picture of the shelf and the instructions, you look at the shelf that I built, they don't match up. It's the same kind of shelf, but the shelf in the instructions is clearly like, a foot or two taller and a space different. I'm just like, all right, well, we're just going to guess based on the ratios. And it worked out. It's the shelf. It's got the actual shelves in it. It's got the... What the hell do you call them? I have the instructions here. It was the baffles. The baffles at the back. Top. And it's all together with little hex screws. They gave me a shitty-ass Allen wrench in the set. They said assemble with gloves, and they sent me the tiniest little coarse woolen gloves. So, spoilers, my dad helped me out before he had to go do a business the next day, which was good, because, like I said, the Allen wrench was kind of cheap, and it wore out when we were only most of the way through the shelves. But neither of us wore gloves. It was fine. I think it was just to make sure you didn't get a splinter of bamboo or something, but it's all right. Now my room only slightly smells of bamboo, like... But that does mean that I now have shelves full of my games, and I have shelves full of all my books, which means I have to stare at the books I haven't read yet, of which there are quite a lot. Well, that's probably good, though. That'll give me motivation to read sometime.
Yes.
Which I should do more of. I have lots of books, some of which I've owned for years and haven't caught up on. All chilling there, relaxing on the shelf. I posted a picture, and you can check it out on Twitter.
And now we
out of video game stuff, continuing, you guys already got Lucky's 14 wrap-up story back.
Yep.
A dinosaur story. Where do we want to start? That's how I yawned and squished my face.
I'm thinking. I'm having to think.
I'm yawning. Yawning, squish your face.
And no, yes, we're gonna Aresh, Asuna, we're just gonna stay as 3 and gonna fucking be fucking fine. We don't need other people. What if
Lost shows up?
Well, if Lost shows up, he'll be fine. He's part of the crowd, like I said. both Aresh and Sun are part of the Crow Mafia. There's 3 of us, so we can call ourselves a murder.
Yep, that's a collective noun. There's 3 of you.
Yeah, so we talked about Final Fantasy. Well, we do actually have more Final Fantasy stuff to talk about, surprisingly.
Yes, Tokyo Game Show was this week, and Square Enix had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they did. Ooh, excuse me. So, unfortunately, like I said, they've had many things. They've had things about Bandai Namco going on, Capcom going on.
Yeah, Bandai Namco has is gonna roll out a new logo that's very boring.
Oh, it's so boring. I don't know why they had to change it. I thought it was good as is.
Who knows? Who knows what they're going for these days?
I don't know. But I was mostly interested in the Square Enix because I am a Square Enix simp.
Yep. Also, they had what was it, 3 days of stuff. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It was a big.
Yeah. So let's see here. Where do we want to start? They showed off a lot of stuff they already shown. Like Forspoken, they showed off already. It was just the same trailer again. They talked about maybe a few new things. They talked about Chocobo GP, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little interested in. I am a person who enjoys the Mario Karts.
Yeah.
So
I played some Mario Kart by day.
Yeah.
That also means I remember what getting karted is like. Everybody who's played Mario Kart knows what getting Mario Karted like. And that one guy who's in the 6th, the blue shell or the bullet bill, and you're just like, why Mario Kart gods? Why? I'm in 5th.
They also talked about a little bit about Triangle Strategy. They gave us a release date. Our spring is fucked.
I think there was I think the Nintendo Direct had the release date first.
Did it? Oh yeah.
I don't remember. It was sometime in the spring. It was sometime in the March hellhole. There's so many games in March. Somebody, for the love of God, needs to delay. Please help me out.
Oh, it was Strangers in Paradise.
Help yourselves out. Yeah, Strangers in Paradise was the release date reveal.
Yeah.
It's also March. Who could have known?
But yeah. So the things that were interesting is they showed more about Strangers in Paradise, which I think is important because last time it was very memey. I feel like this game is literally trying just to be ironically edgy. I think that's the way I want to say.
So this is, and this is an important thing to bring up. This is Square Enix obviously is part of it, but this is also being made by the Team Ninja team under Koei Tecmo.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly, who you will remember from such titles as Ninja Gaiden, All the Dead or Alives. All the Warriors tie-in games, not the direct ones, but the tie-in ones like Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors.
And most importantly, which I think is probably awesome, is they also did both the Neo games.
Yes. Yeah, that's from what I saw from because there was gameplay footage in this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a demo, but there was actual gameplay footage in the trailer. Yeah, they are the Neo guys as well.
So,
but I feel like the elements of the edginess of you guys remember Ninja Gaiden? Some of those games were a little, I don't know if I want to say try hard, but
they're a little try hard.
They were a little try hard. They also did, so this isn't the first time they worked with Square. They did Dissidia NT.
Oh, okay.
Not the original Dissidia, but the non
Thank you, Aresh.
Portable port.
Aresh is gonna yank me all over this map, by the way.
So they get around, but yes, I believe you are correct. At least the way the English dialogue is recorded, especially our main character Jack Garland. God, I can't believe they did that. Well, that's a multi-layered thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody has got it, but if everybody has got it, I don't know if I let them in on the joke. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it seems like a lot of the dialogue is from our main characters seems a little stilted and edgy, because they had like I guess probably the King of Corneria. Like they had like the old fantasy king man. He spoke pretty normally. There's the one token warrior of light who is a woman. She has white hair. I wonder if she can be a white mage. Axe doesn't. Well, Axe is a zygote, as Dallas likes to say. He probably doesn't actually remember or know what the plot of Final Fantasy is.
I actually have Final Fantasy for the NES now, but I don't have an NES to play it on. So heck.
Because Lucky and I keep calling it by Strangers in Paradise because that's the like super title. But remember, the subtitle is Final Fantasy Origin. This is basically a really fancy remake of the original Final Fantasy. So there's there's 4 warriors of light. There's 4 elemental crystals. There's bad stuff. Chaos, bad man, bad chaos. Gonna kill chaos. But like, there's a perfectly normal king man who speaks in normal dialogue. You know, normal like. The kind of high-level dialogue you expect from a Square Enix English dub. I remember the like Babylon's Fall trailer like earlier this year, where I was like, "Yep, that's what this sounds like in English." So yeah, but definitely some of the dialogue seems a little edgy. I will say the trailer also showed us some other stuff that I like. Axe, don't explain to me the plot of Final Fantasy 1, because like I said, I know it better than you do, and you're missing a key detail of why it's a thing. But also, I deliberately said I wasn't going to reveal it if people don't know what it is. The new game may or may not treat that as a twist. We'll see. But one thing I did want to throw out there from the trailer that I liked was that it really seems like it's embracing just how fucking weird the old school Final Fantasy aesthetics were. Yeah. Because if you guys haven't played an old-ass Final Fantasy, which I've played, I think, a little bit of all the 2D ones, you know, they were all released on, like, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and the Visual Boy Advance is a very reliable emulator, so I've been poor in my time. I've poked all of them a little bit, and I may be interested in the Pixel remaster sometime, but they had weird stuff where, like, you would fight, you know, like, goblins and ghouls and whatever, and then like in some areas you would fight, you know, fucking Metal Gears basically. Like you would fight giant big stompy 2-legged robots. Remember when Metal Gears looked like that?
Well, you know, you still see those. Those are usually what the Magitech armors end up being but no, this is like
yes, I mean, obviously later Final Fantasy games usually like call to that, but when it's the original game and there's not a lot of lore, it was just like, wow, some of these enemies just look sci-fi. Yeah, it looks like Strangers in Paradise is gonna have some areas that are like look like they're fucking maps from 7, basically.
Yeah, you gotta remember, Final Fantasy originally came back. What was it, 1987? Was it 87?
Let me check. It's been 35 years, so
86, 87, maybe 86.
The original Final Fantasy series.
Oh, there's a bunch of candles. This is a weird juxtaposition. Yeah. We're like in a super science like tech base. We walk into this boss arena and there's just all these fucking candles around here. Yeah,
you're like in a high-tech cathedral or something almost, like, or like a high-tech library.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Kuchklin.
Kuchklin.
I know that guy. Yeah, he is a pain in the ass to fight in 12 because you gotta like solve a fucking sewer water puzzle.
Yeah, could let himself go.
Yes. Also, you were right. The original Final Fantasy was 1987. It's kind of funny to think about because it's a 35th anniversary year for Final Fantasy. It's also a 35th anniversary year for Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, they came out
2 big sleeper hit, not sleeper, 2 big iconic hits of the NES era.
Well, I'll call fucking Final Fantasy it wasn't a sleeper hit, but again, remember, I will point out, Final Fantasy was the game that literally saved Square as a company. Literally.
Yes, if you don't know, they called it Final Fantasy because they thought they were going under, and then the game was so good that they were like, oh shit, we didn't explode and die.
Oh shit, I fucked up. I forgot I need to be a Flan for this. I was not Flan. I'm surprisingly okay, though. Surprisingly. Yeah, this is... this boss, you have to turn into Flan, or you get when he's doing the flattening attack. But,
yeah, so you don't get crushed. But, yeah, so Final Fantasy saved the studio. They thought it was going to be their last hurrah, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see this because, like, in terms of, like, like popularity and stuff, well, let me see what the while the Dragon Quest series is way more important in Japan, I guess they must not have been doing so hot when the first two came out, because that was 86, 87. So they released Final Fantasy VII. They were like, all right, we might explode, and then it didn't, and kept going. But like people in Japan remember them for like Dragon Quest aesthetics almost as much as Final Fantasy, whereas over here Dragon Quest is not as popular.
I mean, it's been gaining popularity, but it's people like if you ask like 10 gamers, most of them will mention Final Fantasy before they mention Final. Like most of them will mention Final Fantasy before they mention.
Which is very, very funny because we didn't even get some of the like Final Fantasy titles. The numbering was all weird. You had to wait until like first round of remakes. But yeah, so Strangers in Paradise is definitely doing a remake of Final Fantasy. They do explicitly like there's not narration, but there's text over the new trailer, which talks about how everybody's stuck on a time loop because there was actually some time travel stuff in the original one. It's not just a Chrono Trigger thing. But yeah, the game looks good. I think they released a new demo with multiplayer support.
Yep. It is been memeing.
Yes.
Because this is why I say they're being unapologetically ironic. Because in one particular scene, when you meet a lady party member, she's talking about her sad backstory, and Jack Garland, literally, in whatever outfit you have in him, just goes bullshit, and like in the gruffest voice he can, turns around, grabs his fucking, I think people say it's an iPhone, it could be something else, I don't fucking know, and just puts on Limp Bizkit and just walks away, and everyone's just like, well, not everyone, but I've seen a lot of people just be like, I love this.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. That is also a thing is, you talked about this when the first demo came out, because this was a criticism a lot of people had of the first trailer, where he looked like a white rapper. But no, you apparently have complete freedom of costumes.
Yep.
The second trailer shows off a variety of outfits, several of which look much more fantasy-y. You get to pick and choose the stuff, and but also in that trailer, I know that you and I both talked about this, the animations are a little something.
I don't like the models and animations, I don't want to say they're bad, because I don't think they're bad, but something just feels off.
There is, I studied that trailer a couple times after you mentioned it, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely feel like there's something off here. Like, everybody is like, and I believe it's like a PS5 PC port, so it's you know, very pretty, very high def, much high dynamic range. Like, everybody is super high res, but there is just something about, like, when you're zoomed in on their face and they're speaking or looking, it's weird. My personal thought is that that little bit of uncanny valley might come from the eyes. Everybody's eyes are like super bright and reflective, which is not how humans normally do. Your eyes are like specular. There's illumination in them. That's why like if you ever seen an art tutorial, especially a how to draw anime art, they always make sure you put those little specular highlights in the eye, because your eyes are reflective, but they're not like glow in the dark. And there are some shots where I'm like, I feel like if I turned off the lights, I would still see your irises. Everybody's so shiny.
Box.
But yeah, there's a little something there. But who knows? Well, you know, that could also just be like trailer capture footage. They've got, you know, 6-ish months before the game comes out. We'll see what's up. Man, March is such a killer month, though.
Oh man, yeah, with Triangle Strategy. I guess a Stranger. What else was March? I don't know.
Let me see if I can pull up a list for this.
Yeah. Everything was filmed on the Kodak. Keck.
Oh, let's see. Well, I've got some summaries. Triangle Strategy. Ooh, KSP2. Didn't even realize that. Calypso Protocol. That's from the Dead Space guys, but not the Dead Space remake. Forspoken is also in 2022. Square, what are you doing? Square has to be like pushing one of these titles, right?
Yeah.
They won't dump 3 of their own AAA games in the same month. They know people can't play that many JRPGs, right?
Right.
That's when Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out. That's when the Hogwarts game comes out. Gotham Knights. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up another list. What we got confirmed for March? Tiny Tina Wonderlands is March 25th. Rude Factory 5 is the 22nd.
Ah, that's one on me. That's one for me.
Yeah. We're not super about it, but some people will care about Gran Turismo 7. Yeah, no, it's bad news. And February's not much better. Sifu comes out. It's February 22nd. The new Saints Row is February 25th.
Ah, okay.
Elden Ring is January. Monster Hunter Rise on PC is January. Pokemon Legends Arceus is actually January. Like, is that front half is bad. And then we have more stuff that's just generally we know is sometime in the early quarter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Forspoken sometime in Q1. Like I said, Ghostwire Tokyo sometime in Q1. Oh my fuck, that's right. Nintendo's supposed to be releasing the Breath of the Wild sequel next year. I don't know if they're going to do that. They don't have a hard date on that. God, no. It's rough.
It's rough, yo.
Plus, there's going to be my backlog from this year. There's like 3 games coming out in October already. Plus the games that came out last month that I'm not done with yet. Big deal. It's a big month.
Big month.
Good year. Plenty of stuff to pick from. You know, it's better to have a wealth of choice than to not, but damn.
Means I gotta choose.
Yeah. Hell, I already had another thing since we're talking about JRPGs and stuff. I mentioned on Discord, also he was saying we are getting... Are we having problems with streaming? Hold on. Yeah, okay. It says poor currently. We'll see if it unfucks itself. I'm not seeing anything in the preview other than maybe your little pixel blocky. That's fine. Went back to excellent. Okay. Let's hope it stays that way. But I mentioned on our Discord and a couple other points, I've subbed to the official PlayStation YouTube channel. Which just means that at all hours of the day, I get bombarded with rando PlayStation trailers, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because there's so many game releases that I would just fucking forget about if I didn't have this, you know, if I didn't have PlayStation's literal marketing engine, like, plugged into my YouTube sub box. But also it means I'm reminded of a lot of games I want that I forgot about and I have to think about now. One of them was, oh gosh, what was it? Where's my history? I'll find it. No, that's my videos, YouTube. I didn't mean to click that one. Did you open a new fucking window for that? No, give me my history. I'm gonna scroll back through all the rando nonsense.
Oh wait, no, I'm fine where I am.
The like 3rd wave of 25th anniversary DLC for Ace Combat 7 for more planes they want me to buy individually for like $7. Please, AC, stop. Just release AC 8. Help me out. But where was it? I gotta scroll through a lot. So, we may talk about some other stuff later, but I have been poking, oh gosh, you know, I just realized I got very distracted lately. I probably didn't go as deep on writing Star Wars as I could have, but we'll do pre-setup. We got a lot of other stuff. So we may talk about that a little later. But I've been poking music for some reason, musical styles, and thinking about things. So I've got some rando junk in there. There it is, Astria Ascending.
Yes.
This is a JRPG. It's by Artisan Studios, who I think are new and small. But they got a lot of guys who worked on games like Final Fantasy, like Nier, etc. Very much has the at least classic Final Fantasy concept art style. And that looks pretty sick. That is available now on like everything. I believe it is similar to the Kina, where it is going to have a physical release later, like a small print run. That's what I'm going for. I tucked that into my my Amazon wish list. Was like, I'll deal with this later.
Yeah, I saw the game. I'm a little interested. It reminds me of Valkyrie Profile. Which is an old Square game.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a they had I think they only had 2. Did they have a 3? No, they think they only have 2.
There's a lot of old school JRPGs that just kind of faded. When was the last time, for instance, you saw a Grandia game?
Oh yeah, Grandia.
What was the Grandia game I played all the way through? I think it was 3. It was like 3 or 4 on the PS2. I'd have to look it up and like see a title.
Suna's been helped. Actually, I don't need healing. I got this fucking beast thing. As long as I'm hitting things, I won't die.
But let's see.
I might die.
Far Cry 6 comes out in like a week. Guardians of the Galaxies comes out at the end of the month. Life is Strange True Colors is already out, but that's a slow roll for me. I like Life is Strange, but I'm also in no rush to play it. Because, you know, I know those people will try and emotionally destroy me.
Yeah. But, let's see.
So, according to Amazon, Astria Ascending will have a physical release in late December, but also that's always their December 31st is always their filler date, so I don't know exactly when. But I'll probably pick it up that way because like I said, I don't need to add another long form JRPG to my backlog of many things I want to play.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Don't fuck up me! Don't fuck up me! That's spinning to win!
Especially because I did mention this on the Let's Talk About That, obviously.
Oh.
I mentioned many months ago, I pre-ordered the model kit for the Millennium Puzzle.
Yeah.
Which comes with no instructions, because you got to be like Yugi and assemble it yourself. That has finally come out, and I was charged for it. And then Hobby Link, who I ordered from, is like, all right, now you pick your shipping. And I'm like,
wait.
Yes, that's right. It's been like 3 months since I pre-ordered this. I forgot how shipping from Japan works. There's another $20 on this order I forgot about. I have not yet put that through. I wanted to wait for like the Patreon money to all filter out. It's a new month.
Yeah.
Like, obviously $20 is not going to bankrupt me, but people should know by now that I don't like to go ham on spending all my money at once. It just kind of freaks me out.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I like to, even if I have the money, I like to spread it out over a little or bundle up, you know, things in like single orders. And I just ordered like some groceries online and some other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Got to pay for all my monthly bills, etc. So I'm like, all right. They got 60 days before they ship it to me automatically. I'll let the new month cycle in, but I'm sure you guys will be able to see the finished result with that once I actually get it shipped to me. Hopefully that won't be a big. This is a shipping in relation to Japan is always a weird thing for me. I think I talked about before. I tried to order some of the FGO like wafer gacha cards where they have little like the servant cards but in little nil wafer packages.
Arash, I'm pretty sure
wafers, by the way.
I'm pretty sure that did more damage to me, Arash, because you're rescued, man. I'm just saying, Arash.
But when I tried to go through like a Japanese company to order them, it was like, okay, all right, so we're gonna like give us your credit card information first. We're gonna like set up the charge and leave it waiting, and then you pick your shipping and you pay an additional fee. And I'm just like, guys, what is there something you distinctly Japanese about this? Can't you just do like every American website I've ever used and like calculate taxes and shipping and handling all at once? No? Okay. And then, by the way, I never got that order because I was ready to do the charge and just eat it, and then they were like, yes, because of by then the COVID thing was in full swing, so it was like, yes, we've temporarily stopped deliveries to your region. So no, and I'm like, all right, I won't pick another shipping option. I'll just let the charge die. I won't do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's always a weird fun thing dealing with international shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I spread a couple purchases. I got some Yu-Gi-Oh tins coming, for instance. But we got some things to. But that probably means that I should then, unless I don't know, Lucky, any more news about Tokyo Game Show you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think, but unfortunately,
like we got a logo for 16, but not much else. I don't think there was a new trailer.
There wasn't a new trailer, but there was a little bit of news. They did talk about how they're done with the. Uh-oh. Wait, which one's one? Wait, that's bad. Don't stand there. He's gonna spin. Okay, now we go there. They were
there's an official trailer for First Soldier, but I don't know if I care.
I really don't know here. But I'm trying to think honestly. Because there was an interview. They did an interview, and they did say they said they're done with the character models. They're done with the script. I don't like done with the scenarios. There was some news about like because Yoko Taro when Yoshi P was on the Final Fantasy 14 live stream with and Yoko Taro was like, hey, I want to write something, and they might be in talks about that. Maybe like I don't know, maybe it's like DLC or something. I honestly don't know. Their interview was in Moon Runes and machine translation was not helpful.
Yeah.
But
I'm watching a muted official trailer for something called Dungeon Encounters now, which looks pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, that's a
little square-based dungeon crawly game.
Mm-hmm. Very simple.
That could be neat. Yeah, seems pretty plain, but it's got the art style. Also looks like it's doing some of the Final Fantasy interesting art style stuff. I see a slice of a character in the background who's like, there's all these Final Fantasy characters, and then there's this dude in a hoodie with headphones. Very classy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that Yoko Taro, he's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. Like I said, I know something I'm definitely picking up. I'm definitely picking up Voice of the Card, The Isle Dragon Roars.
Yeah, I should probably think about when I want to do that. Or on what? Voice of the Cards. It's on the PS4, PS5s, right?
It should be. Like I know I'm gonna be picking up the Alan Wake remaster here. But I don't think I think I'm probably gonna be waiting on Guardians of the Galaxy myself personally. Although it looks okay, but
that's weird.
What?
I am not getting any. Is it because I put a colon in it? No. Wow, I am not getting any fucking hits on Voice of Cards on Amazon.
It might be digital only then.
Yeah, that'll probably mean that I will probably not pick it up necessarily right away. It reminds me of a conversation you had about Melty Blood. Picking up games digitally, sometimes you just forget about them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I still want to play it, but that'll probably be like, somebody will be like, hey, this shit's on sale for like $5. What? Shit. That's always how they get you. You think you're fine, and then somebody's like, yo, you could buy this game for like $2.
Actually, funnily enough, on my Twitter, there is an ad for it, like, immediately. Like, it's right there. Let's see here.
Yep. Well, this is an interesting one for just general. Apparently, Kumi
hey, they have a
has
demo
moved on to
right
working...
now. I should go check that out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should also probably. Kumi Nakamura is apparently working on the sequel to the next Gungrave sequel.
Oh.
Gungrave Gore got announced. I don't know much about Gungrave, but I know the aesthetic. I don't think I ever played any of the games. I'm just scrolling through IGN.com's list of things.
List of stuff.
Hello, it's news. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else super relevant in this list of things. Like we already knew about, I think Monster Hunter Rise coming to the PC. So there's some more info about stuff, but it's not super detail out yet. The big one was release date.
Sorry, mechanics.
Yeah, he's doing a boss fight. I'm checking Twitter.
Yay.
Twitter be twittering.
Twitter be twittering. Okay, cool. I did not fucking... Ah!
There is another game that I think is actually... Oh, actually, you know what? No, it's also... I keep seeing trailers for it. It's spelled the normal way?
What is it?
This is gonna be really hard. It's called Chorus.
Course.
Yeah, space combat game from Deep Silver. You guys have an
Oh, Deep Silver, huh?
yeah. Let me see if typing it with the V works. No. Is this also digital only? I'm getting crushed by this digital thing. I'm inundated by trailers and I can't find anything when I like look it up because I don't have the power of like I guess I should go on the PlayStation Store website. But it's a space combat shooter. It looks like it's got some like science fantasy overtones. There's like a weird evil empire and there's like some space magic and stuff. You play a lady who was like really important in the spooky space empire, and then they built a Death Star thing, and then she was like, "Nah, fam, it ain't me," and then did not do that. But they hunt you down, and you got to go do it again.
No.
You fly through space and blow up some stuff.
I like flying through space and blowing up stuff.
Like I watched the trailer, and there was a little like gameplay breakdown. Okay, so it's pre-order; it's not out yet, but it is $40. PS5 only, so that probably means it's a digital, maybe with a limited physical. God. Oh my, like, okay, I love it, PlayStation, but also please stop.
I don't love it. I like physical.
Well, I mean, I love like the like little indie focus on like high-end indie games for like $40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very affordable. But the fact that all, like we said, all this is all digital, it's like, well, fuck. One, that means you have to wait for sales to get discounts. Which aren't always guaranteed. Whereas with Amazon, if you just sit on it's ironic with AAA games that are physically released. If you just sit on it on Amazon for a while, eventually it depreciates in value, unless it like sells the fuck out and they didn't make enough. But you know, a lot of games you can get decent prices on that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, it's just like, well, that makes it so much harder for me to like track. Like, should I be on PlayStation Store building a wish list and have PlayStation like send me an alert when I turn on my PS5 every morning? Hey, yo, fam, this game's on sale. Does PlayStation Store even do that? I don't know.
They do kind of, because I kind of do that. I have some like when I
have like a watch list feature.
Yeah. Like when you are in the PlayStation Store, you can either follow like game studios, you can follow game franchises, you can follow like games themselves, and they'll give you updates on when something in that list is happening. I don't know if it necessarily gives you if the sales are on, but like they do a little bit.
Well, with Chorus, at least that being a pre-order. Let me see if I'm logged in my thing. Let me
Death.
I guess just heart it. Add it to wish list. Okay, you added your first item to wish list. Yeah, no shit. I mean, technically it's the pre-order bundle I wish list, but I'm sure that they'll when the game actually comes out, they'll alert me. I don't. Actually, I know what it is. I can't remember the name of the other JRPG game because of what Forspoken used to be called, which was also another name with like A and TH in it. Dear Japan,
Athia?
Find new phenomes.
I think it was Athia Project.
Yeah, it was Project Athia originally, but now I'm looking for the other one. It was somewhere deep in my YouTube history, and I am fucking lost, guys.
You lost.
That just sums up my life. Though, speaking of other video games, at TGS, Astria Ascending, that's right. That was not what I was going to say, though. Because it was Japan, Konami said stuff.
Yes.
A couple of which are interesting. First of all, for me, an interesting thing was they showed more footage of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, their new official real boy Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator, not like Duel Links. So where I don't want to be insulting to Duel Links players. I know a lot of people play it, but Duel Links is kind of like a fake format. It's not real. The closest we come in real life is the Speed Duels alternate format, only in the TCG. But there's, special skills, and there's a very limited card pool and everything, and they have their own special ban list rules. So it's a fun, internet, mobile game or internet thing or computer thing to do, but it's not a one-to-one replication of the game. rules-wise, Master Duel is supposed to be a one-to-one replica of the game rules with the, at least when it comes out, the full card pool available. Available in what form? We still don't know. I don't know if Konami's really playing it close to the vest, because I don't think... Let me see if Master Duel has a release date. No, it's not spelled Tugio. There's a Y there.
Oh, okay, I remember.
Release window.
Now I go this way. Those people did not realize that which way they had to go. I'm glad I did this, even if it was a failure last time. I'm glad I did this before. I am not dying as much as I could be.
So they said that Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel will be releasing sometime during the winter season, between December and March. A March release date would place it close to the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh's first booster set, Legend of Blue Eyes. Yeah, so it's going to be another March release. God damn it, Konami. How? I mean, when you've got a 20-year anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh, how can you not do that, right?
No,
but yeah. So but we've seen that Master Duel will it's a modern replica of the game. There are cosmetics. There will be microtransactions. People are wondering if there will be like a like whether it'll be like, you know, pay like 40, 50, 60 whatever bucks for like the starter pack and they start you with some cards.
What?
Will it be full
I messed up.
gotcha? Like there's a lot of laser beams in this.
Yeah.
Will it be full, like, gacha style with Duel Links, which people are hoping it is not, because Duel Links is apparently, if you are not free to play, pretty expensive if you actually want to put money in. Some people are still holding out hope that every single card will be in it, and you just have to pay for cosmetics. I think those people are probably wrong, but we don't know. We just don't know. I know some people are hoping for subscription as well. We'll see. I will probably get into the game at some point, whether or not it's just as an FTP or whether, you know,
I did that wrong again.
Streaming or posting it will get us enough views and clicks that we may actually be able to like actually spend money on it. I'll see. But the other thing they talked about was its story mode. It will have a single player story mode, but unlike Legacy of the Duelist, their last simulator game that they still shill a lot. I've played. Its story mode isn't that good.
Oh, no.
Because it's very pared down. And also, they really want you to do the... It was developed by a third-party guys. I've said many times I kind of want to punch those guys. I mean, I can't be too mad because I'm sure they didn't get a lot of direction from Konami or whatever, but, like...
We did it!
Just... Whoever was designing those decks for those anime duels was just, like... They went to, like, YugiOhFandom.com and just looked up what cards were used in this episode's duel and just shoved them in a 40-card deck. Never minding that this is actually a thing in the real trading card game. There's a lot of cards that are good in the anime that don't work because they're based on anime bullshit that you don't have access to in the simulator type game. So Master Duel is avoiding all that. They are doing storylines, but these are apparently going to be based off of Dual Terminal and World Legacy, which are very, very long-running lore archetypes that are in the card game only. Some of the archetypes have actually appeared in the anime, but the card lore is just in the card game. I don't want to say it's, like, weirder than Magic the Gathering, because I know Magic the Gathering has pretty wacky and wild lore since it's been around so long. But I want to say Yu-Gi-Oh! Card lore is often more opaque, because unlike Magic, very few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially by the time Dual Terminal and especially World Legacy came out, very few cards have flavor text anymore. You only have flavor text on vanilla normal monsters who have no effect. So those get rarer and rarer because the game got a lot more complex and interesting. God, I always forget how fucking huge your horns are.
Well, that's why I can't wear... Well, they're technically succubus horns, and they're taking up my helmet slot, so I can't wear a hat. And it makes perfect sense. These horns are huge.
Yes. But... So, like, and to this date, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has never tried to publish novels about card game lore, and, like, I know Magic has some novels, so it can be harder to follow all of this, especially in English, because we don't get the little guidebooks that they release. Though, they are reprinting the first Hidden Arsenal. They're calling it Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1, which was the name of the sets, the Dual Terminal, because the Dual Terminal machines, if you didn't know, were actual fucking arcade machines. It's a little bit like how FGO Arcade works. the dual terminal arcade machines you would go to an arcade machine, you would give it money, you would get real ass Yu-Gi-Oh cards and play real ass Yu-Gi-Oh against the machine. So obviously that doesn't work for everybody. Even actually probably even more so like 10 years ago. But yeah. So they released a physical set where you could just buy them in boosters like a normal ass person. That guy got laser beamed.
No, he stood in the way.
Big Piccolo in there.
Uh-huh. These are the villains, by the way.
You got to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So smoky. Bruh, you have it a smoke, bruv.
It just flew the fuck away.
That guy is ugly and full of lasers.
It's known as the Diablo armament. Basically, ancient evil super science basically took the oh Jesus.
Yeah, he's going full like weapon rampage right now.
Yeah, no, basically that's what he is. They basically took the someone said someone in the Final Fantasy 14 says like, what if we took Diablo from Final Fantasy 8 and we made it a weapon from Final Fantasy 7?
Yeah, basically. God, he is just murdering. Oh, hey, Fran.
Yep.
Ah, I see Final Fantasy 14 knows how camera angles with Fran work. We're on ultra low, but I'm not that far behind. But yeah, I will try not to get too distracted with the cutscene because I'm deep in a Yu-Gi-Oh hole.
I mean, you keep going. I'm just gonna keep watching this. I might just interrupt you.
Basically, there is going to be a reprint of some of the Hidden Arsenal sets that is going to, in English, come with a lore insert that will actually explain the lore. I think that's the first time they've actually bothered doing that in English. But Master Duel, the video game, will have a single-player mode where you play through the storylines of these card archetypes, which to me sounds fucking fascinating. I love it. Mm-hmm. Plus, while many of the early Hidden Arsenal archetypes are bad, you may recognize this from our long experience with them featuring on many of the failed portrayal streams. A lot of them are still like fan favorites. They have a lot of interesting strategies. I like them a lot. They're pretty clever. A lot of them, like, they tried new stuff, even if some of them don't do it well. So it'll be interesting to see that mode, and that definitely makes me incentivized to try out Master Duel. I mean, I was probably gonna already just because it's Konami. Looks like they're trying to make a full-blown modern Yu-Gi-Oh simulator. You don't have to play Dueling Book Online or lots of other dueling simulators like EDO Pro, which I know a lot of people do actually play through. There are a lot of extra visual effects, like there's some flair on summoning. They showed off their graphics for chains. So like the chaining mechanics, so you can actually follow the order of what's going where. Looks like it's going to be good for new and old players alike. And I suspect that it will probably get some people to try out the game again because it'll be like a hassle-free simulator. Mm-hmm. Which will be coinciding with an anniversary year, it seems like. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, the more streamlined you can get things in, the easier it is to get people into something.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's got some of that dueling style flair. Like when you slap down one of the iconic monsters, there's going to be like a little animation insert. It seems like they're going for a 2D art style in it, so it won't be the jank-ass 3D models from Legacy. If y'all remember when I streamed that,
I remember
some of those models were bad. But it should be interesting, and I think by going with card lore storylines, they avoid the problem I had with Legacy of the Duelist, where in some of the anime-ass duels, you get locked into anime mechanics that don't fucking work because you're not an anime protagonist. You can't magically draw the right card at the right time. So that'll be pretty interesting. But there were some other Konami rumors. Apparently, Konami said that they are getting back into big box budget video game development.
Yeah, it's like maybe trying to only focus on pachinko machines and fucking weird. It wasn't working out for them.
Well, I'm gonna guess that the pachinko market probably didn't do so well in the past couple of years. So they realized they need to put some of their Gigacorp money into projects that people can access from their own homes, perhaps. I believe this trended on Twitter. But I believe the suggestion was that it was they're going to hit up all their major franchises. They are looking at new games tied to Castlevania. Obviously, Castlevania just had a bundle release. Yes, that's another video game that came out that I want to play but haven't bought yet. Oh, okay. I just saw somebody full. There's a news article. I was trying to catch it up, but this collection also notes to me that Master Duel will be full and free to play. Okay, that's interesting. So that definitely means monetization on the boxes. Rip. But yeah, so Konami is looking at Castlevania, Silent Hill, and Metal Gear. They're bringing them back, the big names. That's got a lot of people excited. I know that basically, I feel like all the people behind those games were, if not literally chased out of Konami, were basically left to languish at Konami until they fucking left anyway. So that's interesting that they're, trying to bring those back. But the big centerpiece of this announcement was that it has been heavily suggested, like Konami has straight up been talking about, they are planning on another HD remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, not just the HD update from, like, Metal Gear HD Collection, but, like, going for yet another revamp. Which will probably be interesting.
I wonder, like, is it just going to give it a glow-up?
I mean, I would assume so. I would assume they would go for the glow-up. They may even just contract out a third-party studio. By the way, that's another fun bit of news. After many, many people speculating what happened, Sony, PlayStation did acquire Bluepoint.
Yep.
So Bluepoint is officially a first-party studio. You may remember them from such titles as, I don't know, all those remasters you like. The big one they did lately for PlayStation was the Demon's Souls remake.
Yes.
But they've been responsible for a lot of those. So I think that makes sense that going in there. Yeah, that was Nathan Drake Collection, the Shadow of the Colossus remake. They also did Metal Gear Solid HD Collection. Yeah, so actually, you know what that tells me, Lucky?
What?
That tells me that Sony was probably because remember earlier this year we heard about rumors that Sony was going to get another PlayStation HD remake out of them.
Mm-hmm.
My bet is now that that means that Sony has probably been like, hey Konami, we want to release another Metal Gear. We'll give you money. Let Bluepoint make Metal Gear Solid 3 again. Like that's my money bet now. Konami won't handle it directly. They'll publish it, but they'll let a company like Bluepoint do the actual heavy lifting and do the remake. In which case, yes, it would probably be the glow up style.
Mm-hmm. Because there wouldn't be anything necessarily to add. Maybe they'll maybe fine tune some points and stuff, but
yeah, like I know that there was a little bit of extra content with like the subsistence version,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all that's already been out on the HD remake, so I think it'll just be probably making the game 4K, maybe like overhauling the controls a little. Like they could rebuild the engine a little bit. I suspect though it would probably be handled like how for instance, THQ Nordic is handling the Destroy All Humans remakes,
mm-hmm.
where it really is just a remake, like literally just built the game exactly as it was again, but in HD.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a few quality of life improvements in the Destroy All Humans remaster, but the audio is literally the same. They use all their archival audio. All the gameplay mechanics are the same. It's just the models are like infinitely better because it's a fucking, a PS4 game that I played on my PS5 as opposed to a PS2 game. But yeah, so there's apparently in talks to that they're gonna bring back Metal Gear Solid 3. I mean, let me actually double check that. What was the Castlevania called? Castlevania Advanced Collection?
Yeah.
Let me spell this. Whomst made this? It's on the Switch. It's also on PC. Oh, is this also on PlayStation? This Lucky, I've said this before. This is my one problem with the way things are now, where like that's the only thing that I think was good about E3 was that you would get third-party conferences where they would have to tell you what systems things were on trailers.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, it's like it's always Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo telling me directly, and they just lie. They just tell you it's only on their console. And I'm like, I don't know what this is out for anymore. It's so hard to figure out. I would have to probably follow like Game Trailers YouTube channel or something, but then I'd be inundated with way too many game trailers.
You'd be getting all of them.
I might actually want to do Castlevania Advanced Collection on PlayStation. Fuck it, I'll add it to my PlayStation wishlist. I've discovered the wishlist feature. Not really discovered, I just never used it before. I'll just use it for everything. But can I figure out like who made this? Was it just Konami? Developer. Hold on, here we go. The Castlevania Wiki. Yeah. Developer KDE, publisher KDE, Konami Digital Entertainment. Okay, so they are doing some stuff first party in their games studio.
Mm-hmm.
So that does kind of leave us up in the air, right?
Right.
They could be doing first party stuff. They could just be doing remakes. They could just be like, honestly, the way it sounded like when they stopped doing AAA game development for the most part, it sounded to me like what they would do they would just farm it out in the licenses, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if they're releasing stuff directly, like they're having their own in-house team do the development on some of these
Like,
ports.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure, even though their pachinko share might have, I'm pretty sure their fucking cardboard crack department fucking soared.
Yes. While Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't as big, like, Pokemon blew the fuck up over the pandemic.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, everybody is pretty high up there. And I know a lot of people have been recovering their hobbies. So yeah, no, Yu-Gi-Oh's doing fine. In multiple ways. I remember, like nostalgia's way up. We're approaching a 20th anniversary for the card game, and the anime's been out for a while. I know that people are pretty interested in coming back to that. I know that, for instance, Netflix has been in talks to acquire more seasons of the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, so they can stream. I believe you can get like everything subbed on the Crunchyroll, but there's the dub nostalgia is also pretty strong over here.
But so honestly, I think Konami's best move would actually just to put forth a first party Castlevania right now. Honestly,
yeah, for Castlevania, probably you would cash in on the fact that the Netflix series wrapped up and has a sequel going on. I mean, if you wanted to do what's apparently cool, you should do like one of those fancy complete remakes of what story was that based on? Was that Castlevania 3? I think it was roughly what the Castlevania Netflix series was drawn from.
I mean, they could just pull a Paradise Island. I was like, let's just remake some Castlevania. Let's get to the beginning or something.
Yeah, let's just
build a continuity or rethink the continuity.
I do know that Castlevania does have some complex continuity stuff going on. So there's some options there with Metal Gear. I mean, let me hold on.
Honestly,
what's the Metal Gear Survive Metacritic? 60. User score 1.4.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure that's review bombs because nobody liked this fucking idea, but
well, honestly, like I know he's on to things, but I can't see Metal Gear without
That's what I was gonna say though. Yeah, like I wanted to double check how in responses like people thought of Survive. Very lukewarm. It appears some critical outlets gave it like an okay response, but like generally seems like it is unpopular with people, with the actual consumers. So yeah, no. I'm sure Konami cannot actually do new Metal Gear without Kojima. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Kojima, despite for many, many years being like, Metal Gear's done, always feels like he's gone back to that well again, and when they tell him to make a new Metal Gear, he's made a new Metal Gear. Now, obviously, sometimes that gets you shit like Metal Gear Solid 2, which is deliberately designed to like subvert your expectations and attack your ideas of a Metal Gear sequel. But
the memes,
you got stuff like Metal Gear Solid 3, 4, which I was always a huge fan of. 5 is very good engine-wise, and I'm pretty sure Kojima Productions took all that engine shit with them when they left.
Honestly, Konami, just make nice with fucking Kojima and let him fully build 5. Let's let him fully build 5. Remake it.
Yeah, I mean that would I think would be the, if you wanted to do a money move and really repair that relationship, if I was Konami, I would be like, all right, Mr. Kojima-san, I know we left on rough parts because of our own bullshit, but you are now your own you're your own independent, third-party studio. You have a nice relationship with Sony. Sony literally took Kojima like touring at all their first-party studios for like a year before he got started on Death Stranding. You've just released the Death Stranding director's cut. We will license back to you Metal Gear Solid 5. Sony will pay us shitloads of money to release it exclusively on PS5. Add the third act you want. We'll just let you put your name on everything in your brand, and we'll shut the fuck up, and we don't care. Just give us our, 20% or however much the license fee is.
I mean, that's what I would do.
That would win back a lot of public support. It would probably, I mean, it sounded like the not just for Kojima specifically, but for the Kojima Productions team, it sounded like their working conditions at Konami were fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
So it would probably not rebuild that bridge, but it would probably allow them to maintain a professional relationship with the only guy who's ever been associated with Metal Gear. Like I think for Castlevania and Silent Hills, they've had some different guys leading those teams. Like I know Iga is responsible for a lot of the big stuff at Castlevania, but like there have been other Castlevania guys. They've even had some Western teams develop Castlevania.
I do like Lords of Shadow and Lords of Shadow 2 personally. Would not mind another game in that vein.
So like, but Metal Gear has always been a Hideo Kojima production, directed by Hideo Kojima, written by Kojima, produced by Hideo Kojima.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if Kojima is okay with just leaving something undone. See, that's the thing that gets me.
Yes, because I still haven't played out all the content there is in 5, because 5 is fucking huge.
It's 5, it's huge, and like just...
Also, I think, honestly, 5 is padded because there's only two-thirds of a game.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like super fucking padded, and me knowing that the game's not actually, quote-unquote complete, literally killed my interest in playing it. Like,
yeah, no, that was the same for me. Like, I enjoy the game, I like where it's going with the story, but the realization and the knowledge that there was going to be an Act 3, but Konami was like, no, you got to ship it. And that it's not there is just like, damn. Because I know that even if I do all that thing and I bust my ass to actually get all the story content, it's not all the story content because some of the plot threads just cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I assume Konami was thinking we'll just have Kojima shit out another Peace Walker and make another bridge game. Because that's kind of what they do. Is there have been some spin-off games and there have been some side story games to Metal Gear.
Acid and
but
Purple
like
Ops,
the core Metal Gear Solid titles. But they didn't. His contract ended up and he was like, no, I want to fucking leave. I want to start my own company. I hate it here. And he did. And Sony was like, I'm sure Sony heard those rumors and was like, oh ho. Ho 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 ho. And yeah. But I do believe, Lucky, you are right in response to the question in chat. Would Kojima want to come back? The guy loves his storytelling and his cinematics. I suspect it does. Like, he would be able to call it Metal Gear Solid 5 Director's Cut. Literally. And not complain about it. Like, that's what it would be. It would be the Director's Cut. It would be the version of the game he wanted to release, but couldn't because they told him to finish it and wrap up and go home. That would be the big money move, I think. Like, that would buy Konami a lot. But it would probably involve a lot of negotiating, a lot of money changing hands, and probably somebody somewhere would have to admit that there was some wrongdoing about some stuff in that first game, which I don't know if Corpo wants to do. Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, it would have to be a full blown like, yeah, hey, guess what? We don't actually care about Metal Gear Solid as a brand, so we're literally just gonna like pay us our license fee, do what you want. We don't care. Like, and they might not be averse to that.
Like honestly, like the way that like IP licensing works, Kojima doesn't necessarily have to go work with Konami. Konami just has to basically release the rights to the.
Yes, Konami would be the publisher. They would get a publisher's credit and the publisher's cut of the cash, but they would be like, this would be developed by Kojima Productions.
Yes.
Similar to how like Bluepoint did the heavy lifting on the Metal Gear Solid HD collection and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Konami was like, all right, we don't want to spend the development time to do the actual work, but we still own this IP, so we are going to publish the game and like cover some of the back end there. And that I could see working. Also, if I was Sony and I was in these talks to do these things, I would absolutely be like for instance, we've talked about this before with the Metal Gear Solid movie, right?
Right.
Where I believe that is going to be by Sony's movie picture studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the director they've got picked is buddy with Kojima. He was a cameo in Death Stranding. So, I would assume, right, even though Kojima is not directly involved with the Metal Gear Solid movie, he probably has a backdoor into the movie production.
Yeah.
So, if I was Sony and I just acquired Bluepoint Studios and, you know, Konami gave them access to, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 HD hydristance or whatever, some kind of weird, dumb word you make with HD in it, because Kojima loves those things.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably be like, hey, Bluepoint, call up Hideo Kojima if he's free after Death Stranding. See if he has any thoughts and feelings about, like, what to do with this, you know? Like, so I'm not going to say that there's not backdoors, but yeah, I think the, like, Metal Gear Solid 5 director's cut is not super likely, but it would definitely be, like, the big, you know, mic drop move to do.
Mm-hmm.
That or just also license out Kojima for Silent Hills. Call him up and just be like, hey, do that game. We've decided we want to buy that game. Do that game. That I don't think they're going to do, by the way. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. I think that's even less likely because that wasn't like a full tangible thing. It was the playable trailer, which was kind of a meme. Norman Reedus was attached, and then it wasn't. Guillermo del Toro was attached as well. Turned him off of video games. Actually, he got kind of upset that, you know, you can bust your ass as far as to make this trailer thing, and then the game can still get scrapped. But yeah, that's I think that's very interesting in terms of Konami. They're returning to their roots, as it were. In that sense, they're going to have Konami Digital Entertainment fire up and make some new titles.
Mm-hmm. It is exciting.
You get a lovely little chapter there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a weapon called Save the Queen out of this?
No, the sword of the sword Save the Queen is super powerful and is sealed away, but it exists.
Well, you had to get the reference in there at least.
Carry on, carry on. Yeah, I got the Queen's Elect.
But okay, so we've talked a lot about TGS. We've been here for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Let us rotate around to some other stuff. Let's see. It should probably be me. Well, I mean, if we talk about Kena, we can both talk about it.
Okay.
We're there.
I was there.
It would be either that or I can talk about the Deathloop. The loop that is death.
Well, tell me about Deathloop. I almost know nothing about the game, honestly.
Okay. I'll talk about Deathloop. Not in the past couple of days. Been pretty busy. But this week I have actually clocked in some hours on Deathloop. I put in some serious playtime. I think I've definitely broken my 10-hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually gives you a good impression of the game. And yes, I'm in the open world segment, the fuck around and do anything with time loop segment. So, Deathloop is in fact pretty good. I'm not like deep in on any of the like major twists. I can see some of the like lore stuff building and the backstory and stuff because it's Arcane. Of course, there's fucking lore. There'll be some weird twist at the end. But I've done enough to start like experimenting with powers, getting access to some of the subsystems, actually like learning things in previous loops that I take into the next loop and like, you know, setting up events. And basically, you guys know, because they talked about it in the trailers for like 2 years, the idea is to break the loop, you have to kill the 8 visionaries. There's 8 people the time loop is anchored to. And if you don't get them all done in one day, the time loop resets and they all come back to life. So the killing an individual visionary, not hard. I actually appreciate this. They're basically just elite mooks. Like, every visionary has a unique special power. They call them slabs. They are basically a little a little slab of weird time-space metal that gives them a unique power. If you kill a visionary, you can steal their slab. And you have a resource called Residuum, which is basically your game currency, which you can spend to, what do they call it? Let me double check what this. It's system. It's infusion, yeah. You infuse items, and when you have infused a piece of gear with Residuum, you get to keep it.
Oh, just permanently?
Yeah, it's just in your inventory. And you can sacrifice items to gain back Residuum. You also, when you get access to the Residuum subsystem, you get access to basically a permanent power where if you see items glowing with Residuum energy, like just little rainbow glowy items, you can just hold square on them and slurp up all the Residuum in them. So you can farm currency by either trashing items you don't need or by just finding it in the environment. So you loop, but not only do you get to keep your knowledge, but you can keep some of your gear. And if you infuse your slabs, you get to keep those slabs, so you always have access to the special powers. You can only equip 2 at a time, but in between missions, basically whenever you go to a free roam segment, you can swap your loadout so you can switch which bits you need. I think I have like 4 of the slabs right now. I got like half of them. Well, that's not entirely true. Juliana herself doesn't have a slab. She just has copies of the other slab. So if you run into Juliana, you can, if you can kill her, you can get randomly one of the other slabs or the slab upgrades. They do incentivize if you keep collecting the slabs after you get them permanently. You can get them if you get them again. You get an upgrade which improves them.
Oh, okay, that's neat.
So I have access to yeah. There's a real strong sense of progression through the looping, which I love. They really figured out how to anchor this to you, so like you don't feel like you're losing all your shit. You do drop your current Residuum or a portion of it if you die, but I talked about this in another thing. The first unique power you get is unique to Cole. You get something called Reprise right away when you start the game. Every time you go to a segment, you leave the tunnels where you're hiding out and you go out into an open world area, right? One of the maps. You have 2 lives of Reprise. If you die, your body falls, but you rewind to a save point. You get a couple of minutes or a couple seconds of iframes, basically. And if you go back to where your body dropped, you can get all your Residuum back, and you don't lose any of the gear you had on you. Only if you die the 3rd time in the open world area do you actually die and reset the loop.
Okay.
And your reprises reset every time you leave an area.
Okay.
So it's kind of got a little bit of that light roguelike Soulsborne kind of energy. Like you're farming currency, you drop it if you die, but you have a chance to get it back. Which is good because so while the Visionaries are basically elite mooks are also elite mooks. And I have absolutely gotten clobbered by just running into, they call themselves Eternalists, by just running into like 4 dudes in the street with shotguns and you just die. It definitely has that arcane, like if you've played Prey, and I assume also Dishonored, but I haven't played a lot of Dishonored. But it's definitely got that vibe of like, it is that classic arcane style of, you can actually do whatever the fuck you want. I prefer to play it cool and sneak most places, just because if you raise alarms, more dudes come and it's annoying. But if you want to just load up on shotguns and offensive powers and just kick down doors and be like, hey, here's cold, everybody dead, you can do that.
Okay.
You have access to a variety of powers with the slabs. One of them is a stealth, for instance. So while you hold down the button, and you've got a power meter, so they're not, indefinite, but you can turn invisible for a period to sneak. You can use shift, which is basically like a, teleport. One of them is called, was it Nexus, I think, which links targets together. So if you Nexus 3 people together, they all share their fate. So if you Nexus 3 of them and then headshot one of them, all 3 of them fall over dead.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. One of them I don't have yet. Is that Carnesis? It like increases your physical strength. So I love this button prompt, by the way. They teach you that pressing down right stick is melee. They call it press right stick to kick some ass. Literally, your quick melee is just Cole gives the enemy the boot. Oh yeah, there's physics on this, by the way. So if you see an Eternalist near a railing, kick that shit. Throw him into the void. It usually works. If you're not careful, they will survive the fall and they'll be pissed off, but usually it's a kill. You can also just R1 instant melee kill them, but kicking people over railings. So like I said, I actually really like the structure of the game. I would play it more, but I haven't had time in the past couple of days. But like there is that strong sense of progression. And then everything else is investigatory. Like I said, the actual boss fights are not hard. Like every visionary has his own unique power. All of them drop. It's got a little bit of the old Borderlands Diablo-y loot system. There's only so many different kinds of guns, but they have different colors. So, you know, white is common, then there's blue, and then there's purple. I'm currently rocking 3 purple items I've picked up from myself or bosses. I have a purple 4-pounder, which is a high-caliber pistol. I have the nail gun. The nail gun is silent, and you can charge the attack. So if you get headshots, you can silently kill people. Oh. And then the other one I got from one of the other visionaries. It's like a double-barreled semi-automatic shotgun. It eats ammo like nobody's business, but it kills people real good. And the game is full of little things, like there are health stations, which you can just hold down to heal health. There are also health drops on the ground. There are ammo that's randomly piled up, or there are ammo vending machines you can usually get your basic ammo types out of. Cole says something funny when you try to pick up something you don't need. Anywhere from, don't need that right now, to, don't get greedy, Cole. Cole's very talky. I love it. For a first-person protagonist, with amnesia, he is very talky. He loves to converse. This is another element I really liked. One of your basic tools you get every loop is the hack-a-majig. It's a hack tool. It goes in your left-hand slot. You hold it down to hack items. You can turn off cameras, basically sensors. You can hack ballistic turrets so they murder everybody else but you.
Oh, so we got
you can cause distractions.
So we're pulling in like a little bit of that BioShock kind of feel going on.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. You're really selling me on this game. I'm like, oh man, I want.
Oh yeah, no. Deathloop is an amazing entry in the first-person shooter, but with magic powers genre.
Yeah.
I don't know what the genre is called, but it exists. BioShock, Prey, Dishonored, etc. And it's from Arcane, so it is a very good entry in this genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't even have half the powers yet. Like I think there's one to like there's a telekinesis type power. There's one to like disguise yourself, appear as other people. But it's very, like I said, you know you have your loadout between missions. You switch your items. You have 3 gun slots. You have the hack-a-majig for hacking. You have access to grenades. You get like 4 grenades by default on a map. They're multi-purpose grenades, so if you hold on the button, you get to pick what they do. They can be timered, proxy, tripwires. It's great.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so you just pick what you need. It's all very flexible. I don't know if there are different melee weapons or if it's just they give it its own slot so you can track that R1 is always your melee button for your machete, but you have a slot in your loadout for that. Wow. They have these things called trinkets, which are just accessories, basically. So you have personal trinkets and weapon trinkets. So weapon trinkets are pretty basic weapon upgrades. You can get, better hipfire accuracy, faster reloading, etc. Mm-hmm. The personal trinkets, of which you have 4 slots, are where that's where you get your, because there's no, hard leveling.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just finding good shit, infusing it, keeping it through your loops. So with personal trinkets, you can get crazy stuff. Like, one you always get by default is called Spring Healed. Lets you double jump. Very important.
Yeah, Spring Healed Jack.
But you can get one that makes you immune to toxic gas. Normally, if you fall into a vat of toxic gas, it slowly eats your health. If you have that trinket equipped that I just randomly found, it's fine. You can just walk through gas. I mean, you can't see shit because your vision is filled with glowing green gas, but you don't die. You can make it so your own grenades don't hurt you and, in fact, heal you. You can make it so when you hack something, it explodes afterward. And that's just some of the stuff I found in a couple of loops. I don't know how deep the trinket hole goes. There's a lead you get early on a machine to make your own trinkets. I assume that just spits out a random rarity of trinket. But, it seems pretty in-depth. And the core gameplay is, like I said, obviously, first-person shooter, you do some sneaking, you do some fighting, there's some boss fights. If you raise an alarm, dudes will mob you. I figured out, by the way, why I couldn't pause. It's because the game defaults you to the unfortunate status of being online and open to be invaded by anybody.
Oh.
I turned that shit off. You can turn it off, though. You can go to single player, no problem. I'm set to single player now.
Oh, is that what people do? People become Juliana and they come and try and fucking kill you?
Yes. You do have 3 modes, though. You can be single player. That means Juliana is a bot. You can be friends only, which if you turn on it means that and you play it, and you know that if you're invaded by Juliana, it's me, basically. Or you can be anyone, anywhere. Unfortunately, anyone, anywhere is the default. That's why I couldn't pause, and I had that complaint the other day. I think it was something I was talking about being fuddled. But I did set it to single player mode, and it didn't, like, make me reset the game or anything. It's just like, okay. By the way, I figured that out after I got my first Giuliana kill, so I think I killed a player.
Nice.
Who just didn't see me, like, do the old double back, put a shotgun in your back trick. And I haven't actually done the play as Juliana mode yet. I should try it out because that's how you unlock more costumes for Cole.
Really?
Yeah, so Cole comes with, like, a sweet jacket by default, but there is an option for his look, and it tells me, oh, you unlock more looks by going online and playing as Juliana. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try that mode out.
I think I played maybe friends
just an
only.
incentive to get you to try it out. Yeah. I agree. Now that I know that that's how that works, because guess what? There wasn't a tutorial for that. I would definitely only ever play friends only or single player.
Yeah.
Single player, especially just because you can pause and think about things, which is good. Because like I said, the game is very investigative. You've got 4 maps and 4 times of day. Morning, noon, afternoon, night. And they've done an interesting balancing thing with night. I think, actually, if you are at night, it is easier to sneak around. But what they say is night is more dangerous. There are more Eternalists out during the night because they're not at their jobs. And also, there's a... So, you are in the loop of what is called the first day. Now, if I understand correctly what I figured out, what is supposed to happen is while the events are supposed to reset, everybody is supposed to remember the loops. Nobody but Cole and Juliana seem to really remember the loops.
Sounds like something went wrong with this project.
Yes, I think there seems like Cole used to be the head of security. That's the the prologue twist is while you're trying to figure out what the fuck you're doing while you have amnesia, you run into a poster of yourself as head of security, and you're like, shit, I'm the captain. I was head of security. What am I doing? Why do I want to break the loop now? Whatever. I don't care. Juliana's yelling at me over the hackamajig. Because it's also like your phone. So you have a lot of bands with Juliana over the hackamajig.
I remember telling them, oh, we definitely dated.
Yes. It's also strongly implied that the Juliana you're talking to is not necessarily the Juliana who fights you because you also run into multiple Coles over the story. Whoa. So I think there's just a shitload of multiverses of you and Juliana out there fighting each other, and occasionally you bump into each other in the same loop. So, like, you can kill Juliana and then call her up on the hackamajig, and she's just like, that was a different me. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of mind-bending shit in here that I haven't even begin to, like, scratch. But you've got 4 maps, right? But at night, they say that it's more dangerous because there's a big party every night with, like, a huge fireworks display. So there's a shitload of Eternalists, like, out in the streets getting fucking drunk and you know, angry. Probably a little horny. There's a zone in one of the maps called the Aeon Coital Center.
Nice.
I busted in there in the middle of the night, and there was a dude in, like, his underwear dancing alone. I murdered him, but he comes back. It's the loop. By the way, there's no bodies. There's no corpses in this game. If you kill somebody in the loop, their body, like, turns into a shadow on the ground. Enemies may notice the shadow and be like, oh, shit, somebody died here. But sometimes they don't. So you don't got to worry about, like, hiding corpses or self-cleaning. But you've got your 4 maps, your 4 times a day, and you've got these leads. You have 2 categories of lead, visionary leads and arsenal leads. Arsenal leads are for, like, slabs and guns. Visionary leads are for, 1, figuring out when you can kill a visionary normally, but also 2, how you can get more visionaries in the same place at the same time. That, I think, is really the end game, is lining it up so that over 4 periods of the same day, you can bump off all 8 visionaries.
Well, like,
because
I remember seeing that in the trailers, and that, like, if you do certain things, like, I'm trying to remember the one that I saw, but if, like, a certain guy's experiment succeeds or fails,
yes,
he might go to, like, another visionary's party or something.
Yeah, that's one of the leads I've done. Igor, the science guy, if you, like, kill him or in the evening, you find him alone because he is working on an experiment that succeeded earlier in the day. So you get an alert which says, you get a lead which says, hey, Igor does a very sensitive experiment earlier in the day, so if you visit his area when he's not there and fuck with his experiment at any time before night, he will go to this party you know about with one of the other visionaries later. So you can get two of them in the same place at the same time and bump them both out.
Okay.
So the perfect run is you do enough of the leads, you track enough. I've got another one, for instance. I know that two of the visionaries are in a secret relationship. So I know that at a later date, at a certain time, they will be in the same place because they'll be having a little secret tryst, which is against the rules. There's this thing called the loop protection protocol you find out about before you unlock the open world bits, which basically it's the 3-ring binder of what to do to keep the loop secure, which is every visionary should have a bunker. Don't put yourselves in the same place twice. Always have passwords only you know, etc.
Uh-huh.
But obviously the visionaries are all humans, and like I said, I think as far as they know, they only think it's the first day still. They might have, some of them have some memories. One of the visionaries, Wenji, is like, she's got fucking clones of herself. No, I've not gotten transforming guns yet. I'm not super deep, but I've gotten a few leads to get a couple people picked together. But like,
I'm gonna have to pre-order this later, probably later today. God damn it! God damn it!
oh, I'm sorry, I sold it so hard. But no, it's really fun though. Like,
Well, that's the thing.
and like I said, it's so investigation heavy. Like, you will spend large tracts of times just wandering out a node. Like, I picked up this photograph in a previous time loop of these two hanging out. Where the fuck do they hang out? Ah, it's here. Now I know that they're gonna be here later.
Well, that's like I enjoy those kind of games where it's not all just combat and fun. Sometimes you have to like put together the clues and shit. It's like, oh fuck, like I haven't got it, but Lost Judgment just came out, which is that kind of kung fu investigatory fucking not kung fu, it's fucking Japanese, but investigatory like Yakuza game. It's made by the guys who made Yakuza.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
I know that.
So it's just like, oh, I've been wanting this because it's that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I get to beat people stuff, but also I get to solve crimes and be cool.
Yeah, that's how Deathloop plays. Is like, yes, when you actually want to murder visionaries, you have to go on this fun little romp where you bust out your guns and your special powers and you kill everybody. Well, I've already discovered some of the arsenal leads for like guns. Like I found like one of the guys, Charlie, likes games, so there's apparently a box game you can play to get like a high level other. There's a decent weapon variety. Like there's not a lot. I think there's only like 6 or 7 default guns, but there's like a machine pistol, there's a light pistol, a heavy pistol, there's like a snipery type rifle, there's a couple different shotguns, there's like a pump action and a semi-auto, like I said. And they got some other stuff. There's some fun things, but most of the time you spend your time, like I said, you explore places, you try to sneak into places. There's a lot of verticality. You can clamber on ledges. Like I said, double jumping is a default power. When you get shift, you can teleport short distances, so you can do some other fun stuff. And it's basically just gathering your resources, picking your tools, figuring out the place to strike, and then it culminates all in, hypothetically, this one perfect run. All while there's the art style is exactly as the trailers presented. Everything is in like a faux 70s retro aesthetic. Like whenever you cause an alert or enemies start to attack you, the funky beats come in, and then they kind of peter out as you go around. One of the visionaries, Ramblin' Frank, is a musician, so he plays some classy music on the tunes. There's a lot of good stuff there. Deathloop is a good game. I want to get back to it. I think there's decent time to be invested there. Like, there will be times when you do have to pick what leads you want to go to because, say, okay, this lead is at the science complex in the afternoon, but this leads in, the uptown in the afternoon. So you got to pick which one you do what loop. You can wait for specific time periods. You can be like, oh, I don't have anything cool to do in the morning. Just take me to noon. And then you can reset. The game also gives you, when you reach the end of night, you do get a chance to last minute chance to like infuse items, so like you don't like immediately get kicked out. Also, when you're in the open world, there is no time progression. Time only progresses when you leave an area. Mm-hmm. So if you have like multiple leads where you're wandering around solving puzzles and shit, you can hang out in the actual areas as long as you like. And Juliana will only attack you if there is a visionary in that area. So if you're like following up a lead and there's not a boss to kill, you don't have to worry about Juliana showing up. When she does show up, that's a little bit of a a gut check moment. You basically either have to kill her or you have to hack a specific remote, which unlocks the tunnels so you can escape. So there's a little bit of back and forth. But she's not like fucking, omnipresent, teleports behind you kind of shit. Like when she shows up in the map. You know that she's here. I don't believe it lets you know exactly where it is, but she will move towards your general direction. Like I said, I haven't played the Juliana mode, so I don't know if there's like Coldar for her or anything. But she moves in your general direction. And depending on, when it spawns, like one of my big Juliana checks was I fought her after I fought the boss Igor, which fucking sucks because what Igor does on his normal node at night is he's doing some very delicate science. So he's booby-trapped the fuck out of his area, and he's shooting his own dudes if they get too close. He really doesn't want to be disturbed, guys. But what this means is that his map is crawling with fucking turrets, field nullifiers, which turn off your slabs, lasers, and proxy mines. So I kill him, and then I'm just futzing around for open world stuff, and fucking Juliana shows up to chase me, and I'm surrounded by fucking mines. It was awful. She didn't kill me, but I almost ran out of lives just trying to get away from her or figure out where the fuck she is and just stumbling into a proxy mine and eating shit. Ugh. It was a little frustrating, but, like, it's the kind of thing where you're like, well, that's what would happen if you were in this situation. I didn't disarm all these booby traps before I dealt with the guy, so when part 2 shows up, ow.
Do I just want to get the standard edition? What's in the deluxe edition? Original soundtrack, trinkets, the Transtar Trencher, 44 carat, 4 pounder, sharp skin. I can probably live without it. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, no, I do want this. I do want it. God damn it. Like, again, I think, like, the fucking... I never thought the game was necessarily bad. It's just, again, we said this before. The game was oversold.
Yes. It's... I think it's because there are actually some, like, deeper cuts in the storyline. Like, this is, like, slight spoilers, but it's a pretty early lead that I found where, like, I dug into a secret area, and, like, found an audio tape of, like... Because it's mentioned Cole's a veteran, he was a soldier, and that, actually the guy I mentioned, Igor, kind of, like, helped you out. And, like, got you a job as the head of security. So, like... It's said in some, like, chat logs and stuff. Yeah, there's computers with chat logs you can check. There are, 4-digit keypads that you can, like, learn the passwords to in loops. All the fun stuff you'd expect. There's a really funny little side quest I found called the Pact of the Smoke, where there's these fucking 3 Eternalists who just at night pull out their fucking electronic super hookah and, like, get super blitzed. But they've created the Pact of the Smoke where they each have a 4-digit code to open their vault for something cool, and I'm just like, so I just got to find out all your 4 codes, all 3 of your codes, and we're done. But, like, it's mentioned in some of the story, and you find out through some, like, audio logs. Also, yes, there are audio logs. Of course there are.
Of course there are.
There's a lot of documents, and there's a lot of audio logs for leads and for fluff. But you find out that, like, Cole used to be part of the military base that was here. You were, like, a test pilot or something, which is probably how you helped Aeon get in. Like, you knew the layout already. But I don't know what that means or how that worked. Other than that, just... apparently your bosses were super incompetent. Nobody comes out looking real great in this. Everybody's, like, kind of an asshole. Like, Cole was probably an asshole before all this. Now that he's lost his memory, he's just kind of like, listen, I don't know what the fuck's happening. I don't like getting stabbed over and over again. I'm gonna break the loop. Also because you keep trying to stop me. Also, was that fucking Dumbo?
No, it's a pig. The Dumbo pig.
Pig. But yeah, so, like, I think there are some, like, deeper lore stuff going on there and like, weirder shit going on that they just didn't want to give away. So they just really, really sold you on the basic mechanics, and it got overhyped as fuck.
By the way, they're known as porksies.
Like we said, I talked about it. Like, yeah, you gotta kill 8 visionaries. Like every single fucking trailer told you. Like it's some of the basic mechanics are unfortunately done to death. So, but it's a good solid game under there. I don't know if I'm gonna go so far in a year, but you know it's pretty cool. We'll see. I gotta try some other stuff.
Oversold, yeah, both oversold and undersold it.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Like, they really, really hammered in the basic features that they didn't have to hammer in because they are, in fact, the basics. The game itself communicated all of them to me within the first, like, couple hours. But also, they did not really, like, let you know about all the deeper cut stuff. Because, of course, that's the stuff you're supposed to discover, but that makes marketing awkward. Mm-hmm. And marketing, I guess, just decided to hammer the same, you know, couple of bullet points over and over again. And really, I know it really deadened our enthusiasm until it actually came out. And like I said, I heard people start calling it a possible candidate for Game of the Year. And I'm like, damn.
All right, we're going to fucking 811 Dungeons. Here we go.
But that's about 40-ish minutes on Deathloop. I've already sold it on Lucky. I may have sold it to you, the audience. Let me know.
Yeah, no.
But I think then it's time to move on to our other recent game release.
Yeah.
So, if you did not see on Monday, first of all, shame on you.
Shame.
But, we started streaming Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Yes.
The PS5 version. Bought it digital, downloaded it, played it. And we got some thoughts. Lucky did actually get to play for a little bit. I made him put his money where his mouth was, and to your credit, with an input lag handicap, you comported yourself very well. I'm still not sure about Axe calling it 5 to 7 tries. I believe 3 to 5 before I got frustrated. 7 seems like a lot.
I would say 3 before we got frustrated, then the couple more, but then I'm like, all right, give it to me.
Yeah, like I said, my before Axe typed 5 to 7, I was like 3 to 5. 3 to 5 sounds right, and then he's like 5 to 7. I'm like 7? Are you counting?
I don't know.
I
didn't actually go back and count because I don't think it was that important for me to.
No. It was. I felt the need to, like I said, make you put your money where your mouth was because you were talking a little bit of shit, but you held up your end, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And after that fight, I didn't have any problems. That was just a weird segment of the game, I think.
I definitely agreed with that bit. So far, like, if you don't know what we're talking about, we'll talk about this. We'll get there in a minute. But Kena, I think, has a little bit of a stumbling in its opening. I want to say. Yeah.
So before we say anything about the gameplay, if you've seen the trailers, the game itself is in fact a visual masterpiece. It's fucking stunning. Mm-hmm. It is a great soundtrack backing it that's very dynamic. They do the same thing where, like, you play, like, light walking through the woods music, and then when a little bit of story happens, you see a little wisp of light you gotta follow. You know, like, the music kind of up-tempos and gets kind of adventure-y, and then when you get into a fight, it gets all dark. Like, it's really, really good. It's also kind of a minimalist game.
Yeah.
The HUD is very minimal. You straight up don't have a HUD most of the time outside of combat. And, the minimalism even goes to some of the systems. Like, I talk about combat. Combat encounters are basically scripted. I have actually gone back to look for collectibles, Lucky. I've played a couple more hours.
Mm-hmm.
I found some more rot. I found the most adorable hat. I immediately bought all of them. You'll have to see when we go back on Monday, but you'll be pleased. But all areas I've gone back to explore where I've beaten combat encounters, they're just not there anymore. Those guys just don't show up. So, like, no, every combat encounter is exactly where it's supposed to be, and once you've done it, it's done. So
that's a very minimalist approach. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, because, like, even I think in a lot of those. So we've talked about this before, but aesthetically, like, the gameplay structure and style, Kena is very much like all those PS2 action platformers you remember playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's obviously not as stealth-based as, like, a Sly Cooper, but, you know, you have a stick you hit people with.
Mm-hmm.
You have, some double jump action. Double jump, right off the bat. You can ledge climb, a little. It's like a lot of those games, like the first Jak and Daxter, like Tak. Honestly, with some of the mobility abilities you get, it does remind me a little bit of how some of the, like, special powers in Sly Cooper work. But it's like all those games. But most of those games had like, well, some of them were just straight up like, oh, hey, you died? Checkpoint, all the enemies are back. You leave a zone, all the enemies come back. Like, those weren't scripted, really. Those guys just kind of lurk around, and when you show back up, they're back,
Yeah.
This is all very structured. So the like opening of the game is one of those in media res. You're in a deep dark tunnel. You use the pulse button to start some blue fires, and you kind of like stumble into the plot. You go through some forests, you meet some spirits, you can start collecting rot. Little adorable guys. God, I gotta look up if there's a plushie of these guys. They're so fucking cute. Oh my god.
I think my favorite thing about them is just how when you collect them and you go in, they just appear in things and just hang out. I'm like,
yeah, that's the like the interface is very minimal, but clearly a lot of tech went into this because every rot spirit you collect, you get a total. I've found I think 4 or 5 more since I left off.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, which is important because the milestones are huge. Like I think I was at 24 before I started going back and collecting. I'm at 28 or 20 now. But the next point is 36. So still got a ways to go. For people who watch the stream, I have tried to avoid going to new areas. I've just been slowly wandering over old areas and trying to poke new things and just finding stuff. I found an extra hat cart somewhere. I've unlocked some new areas to go in the village, and I unlocked the tier of the forest, but I did not use it. I wanted to do that on stream. I'll probably cycle back and do some stuff, but it's pretty fun. But all like you said, all those rot spirits, they just follow you. You walk away from them, they just appear behind you, and they all huddle up. When you're moving through an area with objects, like in town or near a hat cart, they all just appear on everything. When you're platforming, they kind of pop in on ledges in front of you. It's very adorable, very sweet. I mean, I don't really want to call the gameplay not sweet, but the minimalist style, very light on the tutorials.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it. I still don't remember, because this is what I want to say about this. I think the entire problem you had with the combat is that you did not have a lock-on button. I think I want to say, because as soon as I discovered that, I think everything went, because the problem that you had with that guy is that you could not do the one sweet trick that the game gave you, which is basically use the rot to disable a dude.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. This is a thing. I will say, I don't necessarily know if Lucky or me is quote unquote better at video games. I think we're better at different types of games.
Oh, you'll kick my ass at any first-person shooter. I'll tell you that right now.
Lucky, I know you've said this before, and I do agree with you from watching you play some games. I think you have a much better adaptability. You are better at instinctively sensing what kind of stuff the game wants you to do and figuring that out. I am better with games that are either really, really free. This is in general, actually. I'm much better if you're either really, really freeform with a project, you just want a result, you don't care how I get there.
Yeah. Like Deathloop.
Or you let me know if you want something specific, you let me know exactly what you want. I don't really like playing the trial and error game with people, especially when, to me, I'm smart enough to pick up on, okay, you clearly want a specific solution, but you don't tell me what you want. And like you said, that fight really wants you to figure out how to quick lock onto this one mini boss and use the rot action to bind him. Because as I saw with later boss fights, if you can do that, that's pretty powerful. That's how you get your smacks in. But there was no button prompt for lock on, and also having discovered it later, the lock on's not great. I actually realized this. I don't know if I said this on stream, but I remembered later after seeing the icon for lockup pop up, I had actually locked onto a guy earlier. Somebody can probably go back in the footage and see it. I just didn't realize I was locked on because locking on doesn't necessarily do anything.
Oh.
Because the camera kind of follows that guy, but you can also move it away. I think I locked onto a mook for a couple of seconds and then just kicked his ass. This is something I will say, small enemies usually die pretty fast. So I didn't realize I was locked on, but when I saw you put the symbol over a guy with the lock on, I was like, wait, I've seen that before. I thought about this later.
Huh.
So it apparently did work. I just didn't realize it worked until you made the conscious effort to lock on. I was like,
oh yeah, because that's right. You said you had tried to push the button, you didn't see anything.
Yeah. So it's not a perfect lock on. There's another system that's not perfect. The game has a perfect dodge parry system that is very funky.
I see. I didn't try it, but also because I had like a half second to second.
Yeah, you just straight up couldn't try it. I went on my way to experiment, and it's this is what, like, going back to that pet peeve of mine. I say I really wish it was clear on what they wanted you to do exactly. They say just you've got a block button, you've got like a block meter, block at just the right time for a a parry and counter. They don't tell you what that right time is.
Yeah, what's the right time?
Like, this is a feature I associate more with probably like PS3 era action games. Like, my first thought is like Witch Time.
Yeah.
But Witch Time explicitly knows, hey, dodge at the right time just before you get hit to activate Witch Time, because it's cool and cinematic. I think the way the perfect parry in Kina works is you have to do it as you get hit. You have to pop your barrier. If you do it just before, you just block, and if you do it just after, you just get clobbered. Which sucks. Yes. Because you heal automatically when the combat ends, you are not very durable. You're kind of at the mercy of how good you can get and how many health drops they give you in the game. But the health drops in the fights cost part of your action economy, basically. This is another complaint we both had. There is an upgrade to give you one rot action automatically in a fight. It's very essential. You need that upgrade, because otherwise you have to beat up mobs until you get it, and your rot actions are everything. That is binding like higher level enemies, that is attacking the what do they call it, like the death vine or whatever, the corruption.
Death zone.
So you can pop it. Death zone. Yeah, the death zone corruption. Or activating your heals, So, like, there's a lot of little things that the game doesn't really tell you want to do. It just kind of is like, these exist, figure out your own way.
I want to say this is kind of that thing I was talking about, gamer conceits of, I feel like the game wants to believe that people playing this game should already kind of understand what they want to do, and so they can go for a little bit more minimalist approach on things, which I don't think is necessarily the right thing, because like I said, like, we played a fuck ton of PA games. Like, I was Jack and Daxter and all that crazy stuff. So yeah, no, I see some things, I think about that. But that's not something you should necessarily assume out of every single one of your players.
And like I said, this is a game that, while it shares a lot of thematic similarities with like those old PS2 games, it still has some more modern stuff. Like, there is I actually like it a lot, but there's a full-blown range attack mode you unlock later.
Yeah.
I was a lot more comfortable with the combat once we got that far. Like, once you can purchase a couple of upgrades and you get access to the bow ability, basically, and you can mix up long and short range combat, I was like, okay, this is a lot more comfortable. I can, like, pick my distance and figure shit out.
Well, yeah, you had more than you're more than a one-trick pony.
Yes. Yeah, before you could only do light or heavy attack, and the heavy attack is kind of clunky. You save that basically for, like, when you've stun-locked bosses, you wail on them with heavy. I unlocked, an aerial slam for a little bit of AoE, because that's kind of lacking. Because enemies will swarm you. But there's a lot of, like, little things, and I think, that they're, like, expecting you'll figure it out, or, you'll just do like you did back in the day when you could only afford one PS2 game, and you would do the dumb jump in Jack and Daxter and over again until you got your pixel-perfect timing. But it is 2021, even for, like, a lower-priced indie game, some people may not want to do that. Some people may just want to, like, experience this world. They do have difficulty sliders. You can set it to what they call story mode, where your rot actions automatically charge over time in addition to when you deal or take damage. So that kind of simplifies the action economy problem we're talking about. But it's still, like, a lot of the little subsystems, like we say, are very minimalist. There's not a lot of shit that shows up on your HUD. You've just got a little HP bar. You've got kind of your actions that kind of remind you of stuff. I have noticed that I've heard people talk about this, but I noticed it as well because I did several of the bosses myself in the 3-ish hours we played. There does seem to be a decent amount of variety in the boss fights. The first guy, Sprout, was basically just a big bungus version of the normal enemies, and we fought basically. That was the fight that I passed to Lucky for a second. Was basically a degraded version of that. But the second, I think it was the second boss, was Kappa.
Yeah. That was
who
neat.
he, did kind of a ranged attack thing, throws fireballs that then spawn enemies while he hides from you. So.
Well, it's useful because, like we said, you have to bonk someone to get your rod action. So.
Yes. So, like, he spawns minions for you to bonk, but if he hits you with the fireballs, they really hurt. So you have to, like, hold back, let him drop them, beat them up, and then, bind and move in when he appears and beat him up. And then, what was it? I think it was Wood Knight was the next guy.
Yes.
So he was a big beefy enemy, but he had these little fuck me lights that you could shoot with your new bow mode that explode and cause him to get stun locked. That boss fight gave me like some serious like Dark Souls style vibes because this motherfucker is huge. He has a giant sword and shield. I had to do a lot of dodge rolling. The dodge rolling, by the way, I will say, very generous. You either get very generous iframes or the hitboxes are very tight. Because I was dodging under his giant sword throws a lot tighter than I thought I should have been able to. So, I don't want to say it's all bad. There's definitely some elements that are a little more clunky than others, but other elements are very generous for their style, right? Like the bow upgrade, for instance. You have only so many shots before it needs to recharge, but you can upgrade this, and it's just, it gives you like 4 shots, which so far you don't usually see more than that number of enemies in like a spawn. Like it's all pretty well balanced. There's a lot of really good aesthetics in this. Of like letting you know where stuff is. The corruption is kind of this red-purple glow. If you see like red-purple goo on the ground, you know it's bad. If you see items that are blue, you can probably interact with them in some way. The way the little pulse works, like L1 is shield, but if you just hit it, you pulse out, send a little echolocation that kind of identifies objects you can interact with, and if you do it at the right spots, it kind of bounces around the map, and then it does something cool. We also experienced this on stream. The audio mixing's a little weird.
Yeah, it was very quiet.
Yeah, the voice track was very quiet compared to like the ambient like playing the game sounds and music. I like dialed everything back a little and left the voice at max, and some people were still saying it was quiet on stream. So like I don't know. They did like do like a patch earlier this week, so maybe they cleaned that up. I don't know. I didn't really find any new voice clips when I was going around collecting more Rot Spirits hats and other stuff. That is a very, very big throwback element. There's a lot of collectibles. Thank God they just give you the lists and the maps, like the old school style. You mouse over an area and it's like, yes, in this zone you've got 7 rots, of which you have 3. You've got 4 hats, of which you have 2. And there are there's 2 flower shrines you've already done. All right, cool. Thumbs up. No real guidance on like where those things are, but it does work out.
You're supposed to use the spirit mask for that, but they're not. The spirit mask is a little clunky.
I don't think you're really supposed to use the spirit mask for that. I'm not sure. The mask is a little ambiguous.
I think like when it did the tutorial, it says like you're supposed to use it to find hidden things and stuff. But again, it's like one of those things of like, how am I gonna walk around like because you actually have to stop and put it on.
You press the mask button, you stop, you put on the mask, and you go into first person.
And you can't like walk around, so that's very clunky.
And, yeah, from what I've seen, it kind of highlights some collectible stuff, but not really. Like I've had way more success just wandering around and noticing, oh hey, here's a rock with a rod action on it. I'll press square, jiggle the rock, a little purple light comes out. I press triangle to collect. Adorable little spirit baby comes out and part of the team now. It's mine forever. There's a lot of cool elements. Like there's you do the Tears of the Forest and you kind of like return the rot to their true form and they've all form a little bubble that's starting to look very dragony.
Very Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're turning into a fuck you dragon at the end.
Yeah.
The aesthetics like are very Princess Mononoke. Like all the rots are basically like even more adorable plush versions of Kodamas. They're kind of like for spirits. The aesthetics are very Shinto. There's like lots of rando, basically Jizos, fox statues, owls are a recurring theme. Deer or some other kind of antlered creature, another big recurring theme. I did, by the way, figure out we don't have. I know we said this is a joke, but I have figured out through my wanderings that we are not just doing the one mask with Taro. When I went back to the village, I saw a second spirit gate that has kind of a not an owl, but a kind of bird mask on it. So there's at least another phase of this, right? Because it's got that very classic action adventure game style of. So the plot, which we haven't explained at all, is basically Kina's a spirit guide. Her dad used to be a spirit guide. I think the idea is that he's dead, probably. Not that that matters, because I think every fucking buddy in this game is dead.
Oh, is that fucking...
Ouch.
No, sorry, I just had a thought. I'm going to leave that thought.
Yeah, I had a similar thought that I did not vocalize, yes, but I suspect we're having the same thought about...
About a dude in a place. Yes.
Yeah. But Lucky and I had this question constantly: is everybody in this game dead? Like everybody just pops in and out, teleporting. Now, on the one hand, it's a great way to handle making your NPCs mobile, but also I think everybody is just spirits. So you were like the one alive person wandering around these spooky woods filled with adorable spirits and weird tree enemies. I will say there's a very interesting thing that the aesthetics, like I said before, your little spirit buddies are called rot, R-O-T.
Mm-hmm.
But your enemies are very plant-like. Like the dead zones are like dead trees and grass kind of clutched together. Kind of pop these like evil corruptive fruits to kind of destroy the zones. So like there's something interesting going on with the aesthetic decisions here. I'm sure that won't come back in any way. But you're basically on a journey. You're trying to go to the Mountain Temple Shrine because, I don't know, you're supposed to. It's important for a journey as a spirit guide. But the trek is very dangerous, so you run into some helpful ghosts. They're like, yo, help out our ghost brother. And you're like, okay, I'll go help out your ghost brother. You talk to some more ghost bros, and you get the mechanic of, all right, to solve the problem of ghost brother and help him out, I must collect 3 relics. So you got to collect 3 plot coupons to advance the plot. I don't actually know if they're important. Just there's a grid on the ground with 3 symbols, and you put the 3 things in the slots when you unlock. We'll probably find out more if that matters Monday. We're ready to move on to an area.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the game is shorter. It probably only take us 2 or 3 more sessions. We'll see.
We'll see.
And, like, if I do more collecting off-screen and, like, hit milestones, I'm sure I can speed that along a little.
Yeah.
I just won't advance primary mission objectives, but I can do fun stuff like deliver spirit mail, collect rot spirits, find more hat carts, whatever.
Yeah, it's like how I was doing with Bloodstains. Like, yeah, I'm going to do all the grinding off-stream.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, like, Keen is obviously not a grind, but it is a collectibles game. Like, there's a lot of little things you can get. There's the adorable hats for your rot. There's flower shrines for more currency for more hats. There's, finding all the rot spirits to increase your level with that. That seems to be the most important, and because the milestones are so big, that's like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you guys aren't going to want to watch me wander around the woods for like an hour finding 3 more of these guys in places I didn't look yet. So I'll do that kind of stuff off camera.
Yeah.
But that'll be for like certain in-between sessions. Overall, I have a very positive response to the game. It's one of those things where like, yeah, this is the studio's first title. There's a little bit of polish that could be done. Hopefully they learn some lessons for the future, but seems like a positive experience. The platforming handle's pretty good. Like, okay, there's a little bit of weirdness where you can't just grab any ledge, you can only grab certain ledges.
That's
so much double jump.
Yeah, that's...
Like, throwback style stuff. There's some weird, funny physics where, like, I showed this off on stream, but it keeps happening. You can't really jump or anything while you swim, but if you hit like a lip when you swim, the physics will kind of like pop you out of the water. It's very funny. There's a photo mode. Take any breathtaking selfies. And the game is breathtaking. Like, it's got this great, mountain valley aesthetic. They do a really good job, way better than a lot of classic games, of like blocking out the terrain. Where like you're in this big immersive world, but you can't leave the areas they want you to leave because, I don't know, there's like a really tall cliff there, or there's some tall trees, or there's some rocks in the way, And you can contrast this with, there are some areas where you can clearly go later, but you have to get new powers for. Like, I was wandering around the village, and there's a bridge that's out, and I can see these rocks that are, like, highlighted, They got that sheen on them, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be a later thing. Like, at some point, we'll, like, have enough rot guys, we can, like, have them lift boulders and rebuild this bridge or something.
Neat.
As opposed to some other areas where it's just like, no, just can't go that way. I have discovered in my explorations there is kind of fall damage where it's like the old school Halo type thing or some other games. If you fall too far, you go splat at the bottom.
Oh no.
And yes, there are bottomless pits where you just kind of Jack style into. But other than that, it's fine. There's no lives or anything. Because it's on the PS5, the load times are like that. So if you die, you just get a load screen and you pop back to a checkpoint. By the way, something else I discovered, very fun. So there's fast travel in the game. There's warp points, another more modern convention for a lot of these.
Yep.
God,
I remember in Jak and Daxter, if I wanted to go back to the first area, I would literally have to run the entire fucking way.
Yeah, it was almost faster in some spots, like because there were the teleporters in the sages' houses, but that was just between houses, so it was like between hub maps. And it was also I think it was kind of annoying to cycle through. You would end up accidentally going to the tutorial island sometimes, because you could still access that no matter where you were. But you can. There's also a feature, if you open your map near a warp point and you're close enough to it, you can just warp from there. Like, you don't have to actually walk up and hit the triangle to interact button.
Okay, neat.
So, like, if you're wandering around and you just wander close to a warp point, you can be like, all right, pop up in my map, fast travel. So it's a very well-designed game. There are clearly some things are artistic decisions. Like, obviously, I think the minimalist HUD and stuff is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to let you, like, enjoy this world that they've built that's, like, really expansive, really beautiful. All kinds of, the god rays and the subsurface scattering. The fucking water in this game, oh my god.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I talk about this on stream, too, but, like, holy shit, the way the water looks, it's so crystal clear, and there's just that light glinting of the water, the light on the water's edge as it kind of forms waves or channels. Oh, god damn. It's so sharp, so crisp. Like, everything is really beautiful. The way the cutscenes are shot also, you can totally tell that Emmer's Lab made movies before this, right? Like, these are not video game style cutscenes. Like, when you enter a cutscene, it is a literal scene. Like, the camera will start doing cuts. There are montages. You, like, flick forward between characters. Very dynamic.
I still love the sight when she fires the bow the first time. She fires, they just zoom out so you can just see the trail of it just from the
Yeah, they do the dramatic punch out, like, on a dime.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so, like, the game is very aesthetically pleasing. Considering that it's only, like, $40, right? Like, the amount of money and tech that went into this thing. If you are an old school gamer, you've played some of these old schooly games, you like those, you're looking for a throwback, it's a great game to pick up. They got a physical release coming, I believe, in November, and it's obviously downloadable now on the PlayStation.
On PlayStation.
It's very good. And also, it reminded me, like I said, I don't think there was anything vitriol there, but there was a little spice for me. I got a little salty when you were like, oh, maybe you're not good at these kinds of games. I'm like, all right, hold on, buddy. Hold up. But that I was thinking about the other day, and that gave me a thought, because I talked about how I have played the original Jak and Daxter a lot, and I recently bought bundle for PS4/PS5. And I don't remember if I said this on stream or not, but I have said before, I'm pretty sure I can get Jak and Daxter down to a single sitting. So I had a thought of that might be an interesting thing to do as either like a sub milestone or as like a drive towards more subs as we get closer to like 35 or 4K. Is just like block out a day and just have me try and, beat Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy in one go. I probably can't get the secret ending in one go because some of those power cells are a bitch, but I definitely could beat the game in one sitting. I might have to take meal breaks depending on the day. But that was just an idea I had where I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing people do sometimes. I don't think I'm going to set any speedrun records because I'm pretty sure Jak and Daxter has like some exploits and weird shit where you can probably like, because all the maps are connected, you can probably like catapult yourself into next week and like skip zones or some dumb shit. But I have great muscle memory about that game, and that is definitely, for better or worse, that seems like a thing with Kina, is it's definitely one of those games where you build up the muscle memory, and I have problems with that. Square's not attack. I don't know why Square is an attack. I think you can mod the controls to be Square's attack, but I don't know what I would do with the other buttons. It's like R1 for light attack, R2 for heavy, and I'm like, this is a little weird. This is like action game or action RPG controls. So there will be times when you may have seen me accidentally do rot actions or do nothing when I'm trying to hit people. That's because of my brain. My brain is like, swing stick square. What do you mean swing stick isn't square? Fuck.
Oh no.
Luckily, circle is dodge roll, so that's pretty good muscle memory. I trained myself to dodge once again, especially once I figured out that the parry wasn't gonna. I'm not good at that. Did also, thinking about which time, though, did make me think I do, especially after that Bayonetta 3 trailer. I gotta go back and... I haven't played Bayonetta PS. But I love that game. I'm deep. But yeah, that would be my thought for Jak and Daxter. I think I could whittle that down, and that would be my version of putting my money where my mouth is. And if I can't do it in one sitting, I'm sure it'll be entertaining as I fail. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, let us know. We'll see about it as we kind of crawl up. Our sub level's a little stalled out by now, but if you guys want to drive us closer to those milestones, tell your friends, get them involved. You can try more fun game stuff. Lucky, you played for a little bit, and you obviously have other than the couple of hours I took to wander around the woods and find rotten holes and find cute hats. Most rot I do find are in fact hiding under rocks. True. Do you have any other observations about Kina you want to get out?
No, not really. Like I said, I think you've said basically everything.
Obviously, we're still playing the game. Lucky will be there the whole time, ideally. So, we'll have our more thoughts. You can catch up with us Monday. If you haven't watched our first stream and you want to see what we're talking about, go on there, and you can find it on our channel right now.
Right meow.
At least I think it's in... I usually remember to, when we schedule stuff, go on and set up the playlists. So I'm pretty sure it's in, the streams playlist. Yeah, it's in Let's Plays and streaming. So, yeah, you can find it in playlists and in our uploads. Also, if you want to, go back, watch the Bloodstained playthrough. You got played some Bloodstained. Had some very long runs of playing the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, produced by the Blue Point. That out. But yeah, we'll be back at it. Let's see. I feel like there was something else I mentioned about, but nope, no, got it. I'll set. It's fine. The only other thing that comes to mind is I was going to joke about how I know for sure I can't beat Jak 2 in a single sitting. Jak 2 has a couple of missions that tilted me as a kid, and even now as an adult are a little RNG.
Honestly, I think I might be able to do it.
You said you practice at Jak 2 a lot more than I did, I think.
Yeah, no, if we're talking about Jak and Daxter games and times played, I played probably Jak and Daxter 1 the least, followed by Jak 3. I lived in Jak 2.
Yeah, I don't think it took me forever to beat 2. So, that was definitely a slower pace for me. There were a couple of those back in the PS2 era, those missions that felt a little RNG that I was not super good at. Where sometimes you had to get just kind of lucky on your runs. Other times were just timed missions that were just time tight. You had to practice them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to say a lot, but, you definitely had to know exactly what you were doing. Sometimes that well mission in 2 where you've got 2 minutes to throw all the bombs in all 6 wells. That, just hearing that clock tick down still gives me anxiety. It doesn't help also, by the way, that Daxter is constantly reminding you, 30 seconds left, then you go boom. Daxter, I know, thanks.
Bruh.
That may or may not be another reason to watch a Jak and Daxter stream, because that's one of the things that the original has that is much more minimalized. I think it goes away in Jak 2, and then it only comes back half the time in Jak 3 is when you die, Daxter will be like, well, better you than me. And his many, many other retorts.
I still love all the fucking Power Cell animations in fucking 1.
Yes. All the animations. That would be a thing, by the way, you would see a lot of. You would see all the moves. The robot dance, the moonwalking.
Mm-hmm.
The celebrations, those guys, so good. Love it. God. Yeah, the dunk, love the dunk. The little dance you do when you're on a bike, the bike segments. But yeah, I have played Jak and Daxter to death. I have played a decent amount of 2 and 3. Yeah, I don't know if I would be able to speed blitz 3. 3 has some open world type stuff.
Yeah,
you just wander in the desert. That's deliberately designed to kind of pad out the game a little bit. Now that I think it's bad, it's a technical improvement for sure, but it's definitely one of those things where gee, Naughty Dog, is there really a reason where I need to drive for 30 minutes to a different part of this giant fucking empty desert map to go do a mission? No, you just wanted me to go to a different area and drive around? All right. The guns in Jak 3 though are sick. I love that they added 2 to every level.
Mm-hmm. The switch from, honestly, if we're gonna talk Jak and Daxter real quick, I've always found the switch from Jak and Daxter to Jak 2 to be so wild.
Yeah, that holy shit GTA came out between these two games thing.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we can especially say in hindsight. Jak 2 is very much like, oh yeah, GTA, I think it was 3, but it might have been 4, came out around here.
It was probably either San Andreas or Vice City.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because you can suddenly, like, you can literally jack cars. There's kind of a police mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
You have guns now. Jak is edgy.
Edgy.
Oh, it's got that big, early 2000s edge vibes.
Let's see. Jak 1 was 2001. Let me check. GTA San Andreas.
Yeah, the first Jak was definitely it was basically aesthetically a holdover from the original PlayStation era. It's like super bright pastel colors, very minimalist. Jak doesn't talk at all.
Whoops.
But Daxter does all the talking for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to Jak 2, and like Daxter's like, "Buddy, are you all right? Say something for once in your life." And Jak wakes up and he's just like,
I'm
gonna kill Baron Praxis. Damn, hell damn, murder damn. Jax is like, "Are you okay, buddy?" Jak is like, "Nah, I'm cool. I have a goatee now. I'm Jak." And then they do actually kind of balance that out in. They get better about that, I think, a little in 3.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the early 2000s. It is very much the edgy. Reminds me, I've been talking about. Like I said, I went my hole of music because we have a.
Yeah. So 2001 Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and then in 2002 Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out. 2004 was San Andreas. And let me see here. Jak 1 was 2001, and Jak 2 was, I think I want to say, 2003.
Yeah. So 2 GTA games that were super popular and defined a generation came out in between those two. So yeah, that was the shift probably.
Yeah.
Again, not necessarily a bad thing. It was very dramatic, but they handled it well.
Mm.
And I think it kind of works out because it let him go for like some very different aesthetics for some of that. But so but the music thing, like I said, I've been digging into music stuff, and I need to do more research because I've been trying to think about how to handle space music,
Spice
visions, because we're gonna do like what we call hypothetically the ballroom blitz, the big gala event plot line, which will have multiple elements. We'll see how far we get on Sunday. I've realized now that a week has gone by and I'm not full up on my notes, but I have all this set up right, so I think it should be okay. So long as somebody doesn't use their new future vision powers to hack the timeline too much and maybe have to come up with shit before it's ready. But we'll see. You got to roll dice for that, so you never know. Oh, you've rolled 5 dark. Do you really want to see the future? No, I'm good, fam. But I've been thinking about like the musical stylings and like what the background music should be, because we make a lot of music references in the show.
We do.
And one of the things I wanted to think about was because we've never really described what the like house band basically for your bar sounds like. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I think there's 2 directions we can take this. One, because the Clone Wars and the prequels started in like the late 90s into the early 2000s, it's got to be like early 2000s music, which probably means something in the emo or nu metal type area. Lots of guitars for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or because the Clone Wars is set like 20 years before the original trilogy, and Star Wars came out in the late 70s, that means it's got to be like late 70s, late 50s, early 60s, like classic rock. Like Elvis or early acid rock type stuff. I'm not sure which I prefer.
Oh, man.
So I've been doing a lot of looking up classical music. Which I gotta say, I'm really glad that games like Fallout boiled down a lot of that stuff to just the best ones, because old music, not a huge fan of some of those genres. Like, if you want to think about, like I tried going to, like, very early 50s, late 40s pop, what was considered popular music back then. I mean, it's Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby and all that, and it's kind of, soft, croony music, and I'm like, okay, some of this is good, but some of this just really sounds the same to me.
Yeah.
I do really like the selection of music though that went into like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I'm actually kind of it kind of upsets me that for New Vegas the Inkspot song they got was, I think, Just Maybe, because the use of I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire for 3 is just chef's kiss.
Yes.
But that's not I think is a little too far in the past for the genre of music we're looking at, though. I definitely, in my mind, there's going to be some, like, chamber music that's probably going to sound like space classical music, but there's definitely going to be some brass in there. A little jazzy, a little big bandy. Got to have a little bit of brass.
Like, honestly, thinking about it, no, I think we should actually be, like, looking at, like, yeah, no. Considering we're Outer Rim, we should totally be some sort of, like, classy space jazz.
Yeah. Jazzy, maybe a little bit of the rockabilly type, like acoustic guitars.
Throw in some swing, maybe.
Yeah, swinging. Definitely not, probably not like super electronic sounds.
No. We're not an electric swing.
No. Even though electric swing is cool.
It is super cool.
Music is wild though. There's so much stuff that I don't. It reminds me, I've been watching a couple different like random video series I do want to throw out there for people who are interested. One of them was there's this guy, his YouTube channel is it Bishu? Let me find him. I think it's Bishu. But among other things, I just randomly found this in my YouTube recommendations. They start on Twitch, but he does this thing occasionally called fake genres.
Oh.
So he's a music producer. He does a randomized wheel, and he gets a random fake-ass music genre by slapping two things together. Like, there's one of them was Future Country. Let me see. 80s dubstep was another one.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Tropical
wow.
drill. Gospel wave. Like, see, he just has people throw genre words together, and he sets himself a timer for like 45 minutes to an hour, and he's in. By the way, I don't know shit about music production, but apparently the software for this is pretty fucking sophisticated and pretty slick. I'd love to know more about it later.
Oh, no, man. You just get yourself a synthesizer keyboard, you hook it up to a fucking computer brick, I mean, you can make some fucking shit. That's usually...
but also, like, the other thing is just, like, he can look through the layers. He just goes online and finds, like, what's a good backing instrument? He, like, licenses a little clip of music. He'll make that the bed beat. He'll record his own vocals and, like, tune them. Figure out different instrumentation and just play with it, make the sounds. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, damn. And in, like, an hour, he makes a, like, 3-minute clip of him doing a fake genre where he takes elements of other stuff and slaps it together. I don't even recognize some of these genres. The other thing I think I don't like is in the YouTube version is he basically... to do the listen portions, it's basically kit bashed into an AMV.
Oh.
Or just random anime clips or openings are in there, which is a little weird, especially when I recognize the anime. So mostly I just look away from the screen when that happens and just listen to the music. But it's a fun little thing. It is Bishu. Look it up. Fake genres. It's just wild to like hear what people suggestions he gets and like what kind of stuff he slams together. But the other little like weird DIY thing on YouTube I randomly got recommended was let me actually find this channel. It's the YouTube channel is Ribonator. He is a kind of DIY maker type guy, which and I find really interesting. This is also the kind of stuff that I want to get someday. And the main thing I've been watching him for is DIY dice.
Oh, is this the one who made the spooky Halloween dice?
Maybe. If you've seen some of the clips in our YouTube history, possibly though.
Yeah, no. I have seen some stuff.
Yeah. One of the ones I watched recently was Candy Dice, but also like, well, in one he just turned fucking ramen noodle soup into dice. He like mixed the flavor packet into the resin for color and actually just stuck some fucking noodles in the resin as it dried. And they look really wacky and wild and weird. Apparently you can do a lot of stuff with resin.
Oh, I believe it.
But I've been watching some of these videos and it's just pretty interesting, and it's the kind of stuff, like I said, where I'm like, this is neat. I'd love to be able to do this. He just like mixes up 2-part resin, does different colorations and stuff. Like he did a whole video where he made some like test pucks. Like he just stuck some resin in a cup and did different dyeing mediums to try out different stuff. Some of it is like really interesting. Like I think Alcohol Ink produced like a really good transparency, vibrant coloration. He used some like liquid gold or some glitter paint stuff to add like glittering effects in there, and just like all the stuff you see when you like look at dice or order dice online. You know, you can see the different kind of colors from like translucent stuff to matte colors to like special effects. There was a great effect with like mica powder he did that it was really cool. Makes it very pearlescent. Lots of little, literally the flakes are embedded in the resin that are in the dice mold shapes. You know. And we've talked about this before. I fucking love dice. I don't know what it is about polyhedral solids, but I love dice. Someday I'm gonna go and buy me my artisanal dice, and it'll be sick. I don't know what kind I'm gonna get. Maybe gator bone. Give me some red stained gator bone dice. That'll be when I'm serious. You know you're in trouble when Omega busts out the gator bone dice.
So, oh no, here come Big Jim.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. But yeah, there's just some random stuff I wanted to mention. I'll type this up for people as well. Maybe. What was? Oh, mate. But if we wanna, we've been going for about 2.5 hours. If we're, I think speaking so much is kind of raising my energy levels. It does. But if we wanna wrap down, I think there's maybe one more thing we can mention.
All right.
Because we talked about Star Wars as well. I don't think we need to deep dive on last session, but I think there were some interesting things that happened. We had some just the kind of the way things worked out led to some interesting role playing moments.
Yeah.
And Axe talked about Space Hotline Miami. It did definitely go that direction towards the end.
Yes. Again, I did upload them both to the channel, so they should be...
Yes, I have not released the second one yet, but that'll probably be Sunday. Yeah, that makes sense. It'll probably be Sunday because we'll game again. I released, though, the previous one. So if you want to listen to 5 hours of the kaiju fight, actually, sure, it's only like 2 hours. You can now. That's up. I just released that at like a midnight some night to get it out of the way. But check it out. But
Explosion.
in our last session, I'm so glad that 2K Games and Firaxis supplied me with this, so I was able to make this reference. But there are music remixes based on one of Dr. Valen's infamous lines from the XCOM Enemy Unknown. Commander, you may want to tell your men to exercise restraint when using explosives. You know, if you use grenades, you blow up sectoid bodies, and Valen can't get that sweet, sweet science. But there was an 80s remix of this, which I think the exercise restraint portion fit what we were going for perfectly, because somebody needed to exercise some goddamn restraint. And I gotta tell you, it wasn't gonna be me. As the GM, restraint is not necessarily my job.
No.
Or at least last session, I don't think it was.
No.
So this was technically bonus stuff. This was I designed a little subplot and a little epilogue to like give some character closure, right? And like if you guys ended up skipping over some stuff, like letting you come back and like dig deeper into this. And you guys decided at the end of the last session, which is public, that yes, you did want to dig deeper. So I think we had some interesting working stuff, right? Where, and I think this was good for role playing, where in character and out of character for the most part, you actually like just straight up were like, no, this is Wevu's show. I'm gonna stand back. What does Wevu want to do? I'll advise, but I'm not gonna take the lead. And I think it worked out pretty well. Like we didn't really like force Marth to flounder around and figure out what he would be doing in character. Came up. Wevu doesn't have any knowledge warfare, so some of the technical warfare shit she's not good at.
No.
So like there were times when we kind of stepped in.
Yeah.
But I think that gave us some good role playing opportunities. Now, people will be able to hear this in the audio when it comes out as well. There was kind of some interesting like post game. Well, there's some post game carnage. Funnily enough, haha. There's a lot of carnage. Oh, the carnage. But there was some interesting back and forth both at the tail end of the session and later. I'm not saying this in like an I told you so way,
Mhm.
people at home, but we had a little discussion at the end of the episode whether or not you hit your motivation bonus for EXP, and you were originally for it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, make your argument. All right, you've got an argument, okay. And then later you were like, actually, on second thought, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I did that thing I said. And I'm like, okay, if you don't think you did the thing, you didn't do the thing.
No. I didn't because I'm gonna try not to spoil this, but when Arma is taking a back step to what Webu wants to do, it's actually kind of to the detriment of Webu's character, and in some ways to Arma's character. But Arma is trying to have something be understood by Webu that Arma doesn't think Webu will actually get unless she experiences it with her own body. To say the least. And like I said, this is kind of like, so this is why I was kind of like, yeah, at first I was originally like, yeah, no, I'm doing things. But then I started thinking in it in a more bigger scale, on a bigger scale of what Arma is, what she thinks, and what she thinks is right and not. And I'm just thinking, well, this might be like something setting up for something for later. There's a lot of people dead, and like, like you did this constantly. They're really bad dudes. I'm like, yes, I know they're really bad dudes. But
well, yeah, I wanted to like, because in the Star Wars RPG for Jedi, there's a system called conflict. It's supposed to like represent how like conflicted your emotions go, and like through emotional conflict, your character can like, and I think we talked about this. I kind of don't like how it comes down to the random roll at the end, but it's the only way I think to like fairly adjudicate it so players can't power game it,
Yep.
But like basically through emotional conflict, your character can resolve this conflict to either rise in their morality score, become more attuned with the positive nature of the Force, light side Paragon stuff, or you can fall down towards dark side use. Like the way I like to interpret that is it's almost like psychological hardening.
Yeah.
Like if you do lots of bad shit, like the high level conflict punishes is like torturing somebody, inflicting emotional harm for no reason, murder, cold-blooded ass murder. Like that gives you the big conflict hits. If you do that a lot, your character probably ceases to be emotionally conflicted about those things, which is bad actually. When you stop caring about whether or not you are inflicting grievous bodily injury or suffering or, straight up ending a life of a dude who's alive, that's probably not good for your character in a morality sense.
No. So
there's this conflict system. So, you gotta choose to engage whether or not with it. And so I was like, I'm not handing out heavy conflict penalties because I don't think your characters who have been in this knockdown, drag out war, would feel that bad about fighting objectively bad guy criminal. Like they were bad dudes. There were some illegal weapons involved. There was some spice trade.
God, I made a really bad
there was
analogy.
plenty of smuggling.
Later, and I was like, "Fuck!" Now that I hate it, I writhed in bed over it later. Well, over the like that, but yeah, no, they had like disruptor weapons and slavery, drugs, all that crazy stuff. But it's one of those things of, yeah, they're bad dudes, but they are still people and they still have lives and they and all that thing. And I just let Wevu just literally carve a bloody splash through them. Like, there was no call to surrender. There was no, use of non-lethal. It wasn't intended, but I'm pretty sure some people got burnt to death by flamethrowers.
Yeah.
So, it was a...
Well, we had that discussion because, like, I let you set up the rules of engagement, pick it out. Before you guys got into the mix of it, before the player characters got involved, and for non-player character areas, you were actually quite restrained. Wevu was like, don't, it was like a straight up, I think the way Martha originally phrased it was like straight up ignore civilians, and then like I think either you or Axe came in with like, and what if they resist? Neutralize them, cuff them if they resist, stick them down. But if they're not causing you any problems, just leave them alone. Shoot to stun it first, only respond with lethal force if you're attacked first, kind of a thing. So
no. Marv said lethal, but don't engage first.
Yeah, okay. So it was fire only if fired upon. You can use lethal force if they come at you. But like it was it was in the planning phase. It was fairly restrained,
Mm-hmm.
especially for how heavy a heat these guys were packing.
Yeah.
But in that convo, I did go, okay, so you guys are bringing like a whole like platoon's worth of guys. What's the setup here? Oh, unfortunately, you guys are going for close quarters and caves, and you're planning on you specifically were like, let's go for asset denial. Let's like if we find any like spice or illegal weapons, we'll blow it the fuck out. I was like, yeah, that probably means they're packing flamethrowers, which is that's a whole like that's like 2 levels of meme for us because one. I gave my player characters a very bad experience with using flame projectors once because I was not shy about how fucked up it is to throw flamethrowers at guys, especially who are unarmored soft targets. Flamethrowers are for clearing trenches and bunkers. You do not necessarily want to use them on dudes in cloth uniforms minding their own business. But yeah. After which, I think every single player who was in the game was like, "I don't want to do that ever again. That's not okay. I don't like that. I don't like how this turned out." But also, it's a major backstory thing for your character specifically in the Clone Wars game. Mm-hmm. Arama has a phobia of fire. She has pyrophobia.
Yes.
Whenever she has been set on fire, this has happened a non-zero number of times. Hi, I'm the GM. Lucky handed me a button. I have hit that button many times. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I just realized up close. This is a very Final Fantasy 12-ass wyvern design this guy's got with a weird face thing.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's a 1-to-1 to some of the models, but it's definitely give me some vibes. That's cool. Me keeping some of them design elements. But so you have been set on fire in character a couple of times. Fire has been around you a couple of times. Both sides of this war use flame projectors kind of willy-nilly. Because, this is a space war thing. The idea that you guys were going into close quarters backed up by fire was definitely like a little bit of a moment. But when, like we said, when the player characters got involved, there was a literal like Mexican standoff scene. You like bust into the bad guy bar, their like private cafeteria area, their hangout, their club, their secret clubhouse, and they all draw guns, and then 3 PCs go and murder happens. Oh boy, did murder happen! There were literally dozens of dead men. No restraint was had.
No.
And like I'm gonna say, you really shouldn't feel bad for these guys. Like, overall, they were bad guys. And honestly, in this conflict, most of those kills were pretty clean. Maybe not Boots with the shotgun activating blast, but, like, Camo's a fucking surgeon with his guns. Wevu was, just slashing him attack out there. So, like, it was at least pretty quick, I think, for most of those guys. Not some other stuff. There's some stuff that happens later. But it was just straight up to... we're all gonna go like I talked about this last week. We entered the combat mode. We went in the box this is a combat encounter, and all those guys died real bad. So much murder.
Yeah.
And talking about like how you felt about, not necessarily doing your motivation, people are counting on me. You were very restrained as a character. Arama did not proactively engage a lot of fights.
Nope.
But also you didn't do a lot to necessarily stop fights.
Nope.
Like, you just kind of waltzed into melee as opposed to, like you said, you didn't even go like, all right, you guys are all dead. Why don't you give up? Drop your guns. You'll be fine. So, yeah, it was a bloodbath. And a couple of the players took some injuries to speak for it as well. Mm-hmm. You got shot with a disruptor. Very funny. No, I've talked about this. I think that was actually like a really good moment. I don't think it's a spoiler. I think it's just a good character moment. But it comes to the end where like you guys stole the smuggler's ride to escape. It's a cool ship. It's got a funny name with alliteration. You want to figure that out, you got to listen to the episode. We got nostalgic for the hot getaway again. God, that ship was so good. I'm glad you actually were able to dig up the stats too. But Wevu is one of our pilots. Axe's character Camo is basically another pilot. So they're riding shotgun in the 2-man cockpit, and Axe's Camo just turns to Marth's character Wevu and is like, "So, General, was the mission successful? Was that the point of the mission? Like, I don't remember. Axe said a couple of different lines, but the point was like, did you get what you wanted? And like, it was just kind of like this casual observation delivered by Camo, who we've talked about is a very mission-driven character. Axe sometimes has problems, like bringing Camo to like full characterization, because the way Camo is built is he, like, in to quote Iron Man, he is not a gun, but he's kind of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Camo is a point and shoot kind of character. You point him at the objective and he goes off at it, and sometimes I think Axe can kind of take that very well, and other times it's just like, our mission goals are very ambiguous. What do I do with this? You know, but this is a great way to roleplay that out and just be like, so that was a lot of shooting and getting shot and stuff. Was that on point? Did we succeed, Shadow?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it only could have gotten more poetic if, like, Camo was dying on the floor and was like, we did it though, General, right? We succeeded in the mission. Blah. Like, that's the only way it could get more poetic.
Oh, then Boots would have had some shit to say right then.
Oh, yeah, no. That's because the Boots thing is family and personnel. Like, you rolled really well at leadership to direct the clones. So you did save yourself some hassle later. Nobody got killed or very seriously injured. Some light injuries in your little dust up. But Loth was very explicit. They're like, oh, if a clone had gotten killed, I would have had words with Weather. Which is hilarious because Boots he started as a basic bitch clone, but he takes his job as medic very seriously. I would not want to force inter-party conflict, but I do think that would be interesting to see, like, what that would be like, because normally both Boots and arguably a lot of the time Loth are very, very passive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Loth's very big on like, I'll go last. I'll see what you guys are doing. I'll kind of clean up. I'll have some fun later, you know. I'll figure it out. Oh, you're injured? I'll heal you, you know, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so those moments when he kind of fires up can be pretty. I think I talked about this last week, but I think the actual like party bits will probably be pretty interesting. We'll see how far into the party we get, because we've got some, as a result of, like you said, kind of maybe some missed opportunities and definitely some other stuff of just resolving, because, you know, we had a decently long session. We're gonna probably have some, you know, interregnum role playing scenes, because you guys have to travel back to Sohaliv as well. So we'll have some light role playing and possibly some figuring out some stuff. I'll give you guys the setup as we do, and we'll see how far we get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very glad that you have purchased 4C as a character, because I talked about this. I am ready for shit to get trippy now. There are actually sidebars about, like, you know, handling characters with future vision and how to, like, give them weird force visions, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I may have been listening a lot to the Hotline Miami soundtrack recently.
Oh no. It's gonna be...
And there's a thing we've noticed about your character, where inadvertently, because Arama likes to collect stuff, you have this collection of masks. It's been a thing that we hadn't realized.
I like stuff.
Yeah, but it's just so funny that, like, I think basically because the demon mask is a actual, like, default item, that is useful for certain enemies to have. It's one of the, like, generic force artifact type things, but also I think just, like, usually the head slot's a pretty flexible thing.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it's natural that some of that has come back, but it's just kind of a funny thing where I've just realized that, oh yeah, you had or still have a lot of masks. Some of them are going to probably get redistributed to other characters to, like, balance out our loot.
Yeah.
But it was just like a funny theme that I picked on, and then I'm like, oh, I can do some stuff with this. I can do some interesting setup for things. Because I think we are probably going to get a little more cerebral and esoteric in some of the plots for the final bit, because we're basically in the last bit. We're in the not actually at the climax, but definitely like Act 3 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there'll be a big, you know, hopefully dramatic finish at the end of the party. Which we're not going to hit the end of the party this week, because I haven't written that far. I have a rough outline for events. I haven't handled all my, like, subplots and vignettes, and I don't have some of the NPC stat blocks. Beginning and the end is probably the good word. Like, the idea is it's gonna it's gonna end with a big dramatic speech by Arama to like set up the last plot arc conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be some subplot stuff I'll pepper in throughout there. Somebody commented on the last episode that went public. We have a lot of EXP, and this has gone on very long for a Star Wars campaign. But also, it's the kind of thing where, like, I started with some rough ideas, as I sometimes complain at the time. Lucky was really the only one to give me some backstory to work with, so it's not been very obvious or direct, but the fact that Arama is the only character with a very serious, detailed backstory has played heavily into how the campaign is constructed.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it was just like having a lot of ideas for these set pieces we could find on Soholiv and how to make them interesting, and then that kind of spiraling off into all the little plot threads we want to do, and just resolving all of them. And only at this stage have I kind of like in this last lead up, I was like, okay, I got to end this motherfucker sometime.
Oh yeah.
Let's not introduce any like really new plot threads. Let's wrap up the ones we want to do and focus on kind of resolving our present issues. Stop introducing new issues. Move on. But yeah, it's definitely kind of an interesting seeing out. And it's also kind of interesting to see how, like, for instance, Wevu as kind of a latecomer character, because Marth, like, completely switched characters and had his old character swap out for his new one. Like, Wevu does have a way more involved backstory, but also it's kind of like, almost for the way the campaign is designed, it's very much a backstory. Like, there's some tidbits. I've been trying to, like, throw out more thematic links and some calls to what's going on with her backstory. But it's also the kind of thing that probably can't get resolved directly in the campaign because at this stage we are so heavily dug into Soholiv, right?
Yeah.
But it's still like an interesting thing to touch on. So like Wevu has a very much more defined character that has been fun to work with and introduce these little nods. What's up? The party's going to be interesting. One, because I get to take away all your weapons except for you, who are a weapon. I am a gun. Punch. But that might be interesting for role-playing purposes, being like, oh no, I'm a humble Jedi, I don't have my lightsaber, and then, you're like, ha, pow, pow, punch, pow. Kung Fu.
I'm gonna have to do a kick and ruin my dress.
Oh, that's assuming you're not just gonna get a dress that has one of those, slits all the way down the side, so you can, do a fucking high kick in your heels.
I should totally wear heels. Take one black to one all athletics and coordination checks, but damn, you look good.
Well, I mean, if Visions is to be believed, you might be able to hide a lightsaber blade in a heel. Also, again, if we're following Visions, no, there's no penalty to do anything in heels if you're a Jedi. It's one of the secret Force techniques. Kick ass in heels. Visions is definitely going to influence some action set piece ideas.
Oh, totally.
I definitely think it's kind of funny but also fun to like. Not necessarily like we haven't gone super big on the swordsmanship stuff. Like you and Wevu do have very customizable lightsabers, but we don't really make like a huge deal out of it. Like in the role play, you spent a lot of money, you rolled some dice, you came up with some cool results. In particular, you've kind of like sketched out the design of what your idea is, but we don't like we don't go for like big sword showdowns most of the time. Yeah. But definitely the idea of like watching an anime and like seeing how that works out is like it should help maybe the audience at home, but also ourselves. Good ideas to like visualize like you're literally a martial artist with force powers and like what that means.
Sorry,
in the lag. I want to see.
Yeah, we got blown the fuck up.
Yeah. Was it that slimy Flan guy who exploded, or
no?
what?
There's fucking mines, traps and stuff. They just blow you up. They just blow you the fuck up. Actually, let's exit, Aresh. Let's exit.
Let us eat us.
Let us eat us. Oh, you hit the mine. It happens. Everyone hits the fucking traps.
But yeah, so look forward to that stuff. Like I said, I'll catch you guys up on the next AP. I'll probably post the audio for patrons tonight. The video can go live for everybody on Sunday.
Oh, I was gonna say something though. Even if it's not like necessarily blades and stuff, like I'm excited to maybe have a fucking rematch with that martial artist we met down in the
volcano base.
Yes.
Yes, I definitely have some, because both those bosses got away. One of them with a pretty serious injury, but that just means he can get a robot hand. Possibly a hook hand that's cortosis, so it can't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But that I already have ideas for like how those guys can come back, because that's why you have bad guys run away in Star Wars, so you can come back and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That should lead to some interesting stuff. Yes. I'm thinking a robotic, like big bladed hook hand, but also it's going to be a grapple gun, so you can shoot it out and hook it on things.
Ah.
That might let your characters have to rethink some of their ideas about placement. I am at short range. I am fine. Oh god. Oh god, he has claw shots. Then you get your ass kicked by the guy with double claw shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also pretty excited. I think I already know where those guys are going to slot in, because like I said, I've been brewing some ideas. We may or may not have to take a break so I can like figure out how all these ideas connect, because I've talked about what my idea for the next bit is. I won't go over it again. We may do the sprawl. That should be okay. I think Dallas has talked about how Sunday's still his free day, even though he's slowly dying because of school and tech diff.
Tech diff.
I mentioned on the Let's Talk, but that doesn't come out, so I will let everybody else know. So if you follow our progression tournament, it's gonna get a little weird in the next couple of weeks, because Dallas had like a Google Chrome like complete reset, which ate his collection data from the online pack opener we use at ygoprodec.com. So he had to redraft 40 weeks worth of sets. He did have some of his recent decks saved, and I was like, no, Dallas, I trust you that your deck lists are accurate. You can replicate those cards in your collection. But for a lot of like pack filler and other random stuff, it's just like, well, he didn't have the deck saved, so that means he has to like go back to basics. So some stuff he's lost, some stuff he's got back. He is working on some interesting decks, so hopefully he can still, play some fun stuff. But it's probably going to be a little weird from him and for the rest of us, because basically he can... It's almost like free cards got introduced in the format, because he's traded stuff to us already, but also stuff he got traded to basically evaporated. But also, like, now he's got just brand new cards that he didn't have before. Like, literally, he streamed a lot of it for us in the progression. So I've sat with him for several hours today, and I think the guys also did later, or earlier, I should say. I just like, oh, got that, didn't have that before, got a lot of those. So it's kind of interesting to see. But yeah, it was a big old tech diff. But I do believe he said that he's still free on Sunday. I want to take a break for the sprawl between so I can set up our next Star Wars bits if I have to.
Oh, so you're actually thinking about doing an early break for the sprawl? Because I know you're talking about we might, like, before we jump into Jinsakai, we might do some other stuff.
Yeah, possibly. It depends on how my writing goes. Because, like I said, I already got the rough idea of the second job for the sprawl, and I was going to, without explaining what the missions are, basically the idea is I've talked about is there's going to be, like, progression on the missions to go to the enemy base, but you're going to have 3 lines to pick from, all of which will be, like, semi-interconnected, so I may have to actually do some pre-writing and figure out, like, depending on what order you do stuff in, or at least ideas for that, for, like, what happens, like, I think I mentioned this before, like, say, hypothetically, like, one of the missions is an air base, and another mission is, like, a supply base or a tank base or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, like, go deep behind enemy lines and take out the air base first, that means you gotta go deep behind enemy lines first, and possibly without those supplies from the supply base, or, maybe you gotta fight the tanks from the tank base. But if you go do the supply base first, and you, like, that will limit your options or give you different difficulties, because the enemy has, a whole air base on the back half. So I kind of, like, I've got what the 3 missions are in mind, and I got my rough idea for, like, what the set pieces and the challenges are. I just need to, like, I may need some extra time to like sit down and wrap my brain around like, okay, if you do this first or that first, what do you do? And like be able to present the briefings and the pros and cons to you guys before I actually drill down and write all it.
Okay. Well,
But
no.
like I said, I also have some pre-ideas, so I might be able to just bust that out. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm for more of the sprawl while you figure that out.
Yeah, it's good sometimes to rotate. And as I said, I immediately thought of Job 2 for the sprawl right after Job 1 ended.
Well, that's good, honestly. If you like, that's good because it means like you want to keep running it at least.
Yes. No, I immediately thought of what I wanted to do with the characters in the next job and do some more stuff. If you want to pop in. But okay, we're getting close to the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, I think we covered basically everything.
Yeah. And I'm getting a wee bit dry.
Just a wee bit.
Should you refresh on my water? We've been going for a decent amount. You've done some stuff in 14. You've booped many snoots. You fought a guy who was just full of laser beams. You fought Fat Cucullin. All kinds of things. You got blown up by a mine. That was very exciting. I'll probably have some more, rando news later. I may or may not have time to poke at. If I've got some free time, I'll probably poke at Love, Death, and Robots first. But I also know that that show Squid Game has been fucking blowing up on Netflix. It's a Korean drama series that I guess the best way might be to say is that it gives people big KG vibes. It's basically like. It's like a game show from hell kind of situation. All these randos get sucked into like a hellish game series where they play, like, literally in the trailer, one of them is like they're playing like red light, green light, but if you break the red light, you get fucking shot in the face. I don't know a lot about K-drama, but I know it's been trending all over Twitter a lot. I have heard some people talk about how it's got basically it's got the like extreme version of the anime subs issue where like a lot of the subtitled dialogue is completely different in the context of Korean. I don't speak any fucking Korean, so
same.
I will not catch that context. So I'm like, do I still want to try this? Because I loved this trailer, but if the dialogue is like significantly localized or touched up, that might be weird. But I don't know. I might still take a shot. Like I said, I do think I want to get started on at least the Love, Death, and Robots. We can probably talk about that then.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I watched the trailer and I'm like, this looks sick, and then it just like hasn't gone away. It's been like in Netflix's top 10. It's been on Twitter a lot, like for a couple of weeks now. I'm like, Yes, if you saw Squid Game trending, it wasn't about Splatoon, as several people memed on the internet. But yeah, I think that's my wrap up there. Obviously, Monday we'll be back for more. I will probably play some more Deathloop in the meantime. Gaming, plenty of other stuff going on. Gosh, so many games. So many games coming out.
I'm just looking at my fucking claimer. I was like, man, for such a murder happy guy, I put a lot of thought into what people want into him.
That's a very you thing. You don't like to, like, I've talked about this. There are different role players who do different things. I don't mean this as a dig against Loth. Loth seems to be a very minimalist role player. He likes to set up simple characters. He, has maybe like a couple of key things he does, and he's just kind of like, yeah, it's me. I do that. Like as Boots, it's like a flowchart. Am I supposed to shoot it? Am I supposed to heal it? If none of those answers are correct, and then the third thing he added was, can I hack it somehow with my computer skill? It's usually like, okay, time to make a joke. Ba-dum-pa. Just carry the drum set for the portable rim shot machine. Usually you like to, like, when you make a character, you like to really make a character and, like, dig down into, why did I decide to do this? Why did I pick these hobbies? How did I get this item? Where did it come from? Kind of a thing. And then just when your brain has nothing better to do, you will just drill down further until you're satisfied.
Yeah, Like, I'm looking at my notes on his personality. Claymore is able to speak respectable Japanese, although he isn't fluent, and constantly uses Japanese loanwords. Enjoys anime, gaming, and has recently picked up VTubing as a homie. Then, as a quote, I don't know if they actually care or not if I'm not actually a cute Japanese girl when I'm screaming at my FPS, but they keep showing up, so... And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of hilarious, me. I love coming back to this and seeing everything I wrote. I'm like, wow.
Yes. Also, I love how you can tell that was you wrote that at a time, like in a snapshot, because we're in October we're not as ham about VTubers as we used to be. Though I still do watch.
I mean, I watch clips and I'm happy when I see them on my Twitter timeline.
Oh, and sometimes I watch full videos. Like I've watched a decent chunk of the Uno game Hololive E ended recently, because Uno is always a great time. But yeah, mostly it's just chilling, watching clips and stuff, and finding my time.
Yeah, like other notes, Claymore hates being on the ocean for any long length of time. Sleeping on a ship will give him nightmares. Oh man.
Yeah, and a lot of that came out. If you don't know what we're talking about, The Sprawl is a cyberpunk role-playing game. It's based on Powered by the Apocalypse. We did 2 gameplay sessions and 1 session 0 for world building. That's on our channel in the actual playlist. You can also just probably go to our channel and search The Sprawl. And some of those ideas Lucky is talking about just came out because we spent like, what was it? I think it was like 2 or 3 hours, everybody just jamming and being like, all right, what do we want the setting to be? What kind of cyberpunk do you want? What do you want out of this? And
I really love that session, by the way. Just seeing everyone just make this world. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, that's always like strongly asked for in Powered by the Apocalypse games, but also like that's just a quality I've come to love out of role playing is just doing the session 0. And like, especially when you're emulating like genres or setting styles, it's like, all right, what tropes do you want? What do you want to get in here? Thirsty Lesbians has a similar mechanic of what they call the setting palette. Like, you're supposed to just sit down and be like, all right, what elements are we adding to our composition here? What things do you want to see? Because this game, is emulating more storytelling styles than specific genres. It's very interesting with the way role-playing works, because sometimes role-playing is, like, hyper-specific, and other times it is very general. So there's a lot you can do. Like, I think every single campaign of Monster Hearts I've run, for instance, has had to have that session 0 to talk about our setup and build relationships, but also to kind of like figure out what we were doing. Because we've done, sadly, our first big Monster Hearts game was not recorded, but that was actually just straight up set in Seattle.
Yep.
With all kinds of stuff in there. And then the second one, which was just campaign faded, it happens, was after, I'm pretty sure that was after we'd been jamming Life is Strange pretty hard. So that was very specifically Pacific Northwest, but more like rural and offset to be more Pacific Northwest weird. But yeah, I have learned to really embrace the session 0. Setting up these ground rules and these expectations with your players is very important. You need to make sure everybody's on the same page and invested, and nothing builds investment other than actually getting your players invested by having them build the thing. It's like why sometimes players get very invested in the things their character numbers do. It's because, well, that's what they put the effort into. So, you got to kind of shake these things out. And at the very least, a session 0, just so everybody understands everybody else's characters and what the expectations of the world are. If it's a prefab setting, that's very important.
Yeah.
Like, hypothetically, when I get around to finishing my L5R campaign, which, again, now that my books are unpacked, and that's got both my, L5R novels and novellas and also some Lee and Hearn books, which, are basically Japanese fantasy stuff as well. That's anytime I start busting out those, that's probably going to be a straight one-way trip to L5R Town. Because that's how I operate. I've talked about that. But that would involve a session 0 because we would walk through the literal 20 questions that are presented in character creation. And obviously, I believe several of my prospective players have already answered those questions. But, because we record these, actually sitting down and letting those out and exploring them would be, a good point, and that would let our characters kind of bounce off of each other, and I could set up the expectations of, okay, here's what we're doing for the campaign. This is kind of what you should keep in mind as you build your characters, blah, 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 blah. Session 0s are cool. Oh, actually, since I mentioned L5R, that reminds me of one last little thing I remembered from last week of news. I saw a series of tweets that Edge Studio, who did the L5R RPG now, did. They retweeted a series of tweets from Max Brook, who was the original designer for the 5th edition of L5R, the current edition that Edge produces. And funnily enough, also the guy they brought back to do the Adventures in Rokugan, the 5e port.
Really?
Yeah, and he had a long talk about their design goals and like what they're doing with this. And And ultimately, while I don't think I'm super interested in the product myself, I feel a lot better about it.
Okay.
Because they got the original designer back, and apparently he sat with Sam Stewart, the head of gaming at Edge Studio, and they talked about what they wanted to do. And he talked about like the differences between like L5R campaigns and D&D traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, like talked about the design goal they set on, which is to like normal L5R games can be very low powered. If you want to, you can set your games to be very deadly and gritty. You can literally start as like peasants and Ronin, you know, and work your way up kind of thing. Or you can play kind of higher tier, higher EXP characters, but that also can get a little funky because of the way the game works. Kind of like how high EXP stuff in Star Wars works, right?
Yeah.
You can get a little weird if you start everybody off with like lots of EXP and like powerful expectation. So the 5th edition D&D port called Adventures of Rokugan is meant to emulate the... It's kind of like how Ghost of Tsushima had that Legends multiplayer mode they added. Basically, the idea is that you are playing characters who are part of an important part of a history turning point. So you are going to be some of these larger-than-life legend characters. So that kind of explains why you may rapidly grow like D&D type characters and why you may be in some D&D type loops where you're fighting a lot, right?
All right.
Because you're experiencing some like great big supernatural threat, or you're fighting in a really great big war kind of a thing. A point where your character becomes a legend, because that's a big deal in the card game. Was like certain characters who are very iconic are like known as legends. There are a lot of legends in the Legends of the Five Rings kind of a thing. So I'm like, okay, I still don't think that I would want to play like L5R D&D, but I'm glad at least that like probably when corporate called you up and said, hey, make a 5e port, a 5th edition port, you were like, okay, I've got a plan for this, you know?
Yeah.
They brought the original developer back. They kind of thought about how to make it work, and they put some, it sounds like they're putting some honest effort into it.
They're not going for a quick cash grab, excuse me.
Yeah, they're not just like, well, that's the cool thing, so we'll do it. But no, it's like, okay, how do we make this work?
Well, that is neat to know.
Yeah. I just remember that off the cuff.
Yeah, but no, I think that is it.
Sorry, I was briefly distracted by a very interesting OSP Red tweet. Good shows with bad special effects give her whiplash, and I'm like, you right. I've watched way too much like Corridor Crew talking about like VFX and stunt work and be like, yeah, no, that kind of sucks when they don't, when the stunts are weird, but the stuntmen really sell it because that's what they get paid to do. You've all seen it, right? You've seen somebody take a fake ass punch and then be like, oh,
I've definitely seen the scenes of people just biting it even though no one actually hit them.
Yeah. Or, you know, there's a guy does like a normal ass punch that clearly misses, but there's a fucking wire pull at it, so the guy goes fucking flying. And you're like, I don't think that's how that punch works. That kind of jank has its own affection though, for the most part. But yeah, it's interesting to break this stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like over the past like year or so, I've really been like expanding my mind when it comes to like looking at stuff like this, both in like technical type stuff and just in general, like appreciating the artistry of everything. Kind of interesting. But all right. I'm very dry now. My voice is getting a little scratchy. I'm kind of down here right now.
Yeah, you are.
I'm doing my Dr. Girlfriend. God, guys, remember the Venture Brothers?
Venture Brothers was great.
Did they come back? Are they doing that?
They came back, but then they went away again.
All right. And it's not like Family Guy, where Disney apparently finally decided to pull their funding after so many years because they bought them. Venture Brothers, anyway. But I think we'll wrap up. Lucky appears to be standing in a marketplace, clicking buttons.
That's what you're doing in a MMO.
Yep. So this seems like a good point to do the wind down, do the outro. Lucky, is there anything else you want to shout out before we get on out of here?
No, honestly.
All right, no mobile or street shoutouts for us. That's gonna be a 1%er joke. I don't know how many people remember Cash Cab. Listen, when you have cable, you sometimes just watch a lot of shit randomly in the afternoons.
Cash Cab was wild for a show.
Yeah, I love that idea. The host was really great. And
the host was really great. That was the
climb in a fucking cab.
It's like it's a game show. It's like that's wild.
Yeah. I also just love the idea of like if when you strike out, you have to leave the fucking cab. Like you're just trying to go someplace, and then you're like, cash cab. Obviously, you aren't actually trying to just go someplace. There's no way you have like randos literally off the street, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like the aesthetics of it are very interesting. I should dig into that. I don't know how they like picked candidates or anything. There's no fucking way you literally grab somebody off the street and give them cash prizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you do grab randos and then you filter the filming, but that seems like really wasteful. I should look into that. Anyway, I'm not gonna get distracted by cash cab jokes. We have no mobile or street shoutouts today. We're gonna wrap up. I'll do my research on cash cab off.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to let everybody know, if you like this video, please give it a like. I see that my cash cab commentary has killed some of the views from earlier, so currently concurrent viewers and likes are paired. Good. It's great. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But if you have any comments, you can be sure to leave in the comment section down below. You can also hit us up on our Discord. The link is, as always, in the video description and on our channel page. And Discord be rolling out fun new features, so keep an eye on that. Actually, when that scheduled events thing kind of comes out, that might be fun to try out. Like, maybe we can yell on Discord to remind everybody that What's Up is recording. So that we might actually get some of our Discord randos to watch more What's Up. Guys.
Guys.
Hold on. No. Right now, it's just a poor, lonely Aresh streaming Final Fantasy and Tiamat.
Yeah, and Rush is with me.
But, you know, there have been other times when there's people in the thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So join our Discord. It's cool. If you're new here, please subscribe to our channel, especially, like I said, if you want to get more of that hypothetical Jack and Daxter action we talked about, get some of that other fun stuff, those ideas we have. Sub now. You can get our videos and podcasts and stuff when they come out. Even if you already subscribed, consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know we post a new video or when we stream. You want to catch when that Let's Talk actually comes out, ring that bell.
Ring it.
It'll give you a little alert on your phone or on your computer, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever alerts are sold.
I didn't know alerts were sold.
In addition to all that other normal YouTube stuff, you can also consider joining our channel membership. You get access to membership badges and emotes, and like you may have seen earlier at the top of the chat log, if not, be sure to scroll back. If you are a member for at least 2 contiguous months, you get a little special once per month highlight message where you can shout out how long you've been a member. It's cool.
Yay!
And, of course, like we said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to this episode in audio format, downloadable for as little as $1 a month, or roughly $10 a year. I don't know. Ringing the bell is free. That's just a YouTube feature. More people should do that. That only helps us. Or only helps you. That doesn't help us any, other than that maybe YouTube cares a little bit more if we get more bell engagement. That's the thing. I know a lot of YouTubers like talk about ringing the bell or smashing the bell or whatever for engagement, but like straight up the notifications is just a feature to help you get the content you want when it comes out. I just don't use it a lot personally because I am already flooded in YouTube alerts whenever you guys leave a comment. That's right, everybody. When you leave that mailbag, I know. I'm watching you. But yeah, Patreon, get access to audio versions, get access to topic polls, video releases early, all kinds of other good stuff. Really helps us out and supports us. And that's it from me. I think it's time to mosey on out of here, partner.
All right, let's roll out. See you all next week.